Okay, cool. Audio works good. That's good. Go to here. Awesome. All right, now I just have to pull up chat. Easy enough. Also, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna pull Brittany Simon in just a minute. I just have to get my other chat up and I'm good to go. Okay, cool. Cool. Perfect. All right. So, I already talked to Brittany. She's gonna be here in just a minute. And when she gets here, I'm gonna talk to her for a little bit before we get into the meat of this. Her and I have never really like talked to each other. We've been like on things together, and we've certainly exchanged some words, but like her and I have never like chatted. So I want to take a few minutes to sort of chat with her, just so that her and I can be a little bit more familiar with each other before we start getting into the main meat of the show. I think it's a little bit better for that, for us to have like a pretty smooth feel for each other before we just like dive right in. I should make sure that she has roles too. I think she does, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh, maybe she doesn't. Wait, she's in here, right? Yeah, she is. Okay. She should have all the roles she needs. Looks like it. Just in case, to give her an extra one. Yep. I guess she already started streaming on her end, which is cool. Hey, Queen Bee. How are you? Oh, yeah. I forgot. Everything's always so bunched up on my screen. Oh, that's not what I need. Popped out. I need activity on Twitch, just in case. Sometimes people follow me, or I get rated and I don't notice it because I'm limited to 2 monitors at the moment. But I figured out a pretty good way to make this work. There we go. Excellent. Hello. Oh, should not get pulled in. Hello.
Boomer, hi.
Hi. One
Sorry.
sec. Oh, cool. You already have your video.
Wait, why are you coming out on my loudspeaker and not my earphones? What the fuck?
I don't know. Well, I was about to say you sound oddly quiet to me.
Hold on. Okay, testing my audio. Did you do anything?
Well, I turned you up here. Let me put you back at 100%. Say again.
Hello, testing audio.
Okay, you sound really good.
Okay, hold on. Let me check. Yeah, let me check my settings. I think I changed my setup and all my settings got fucked with. Hold on. Oh my god. Are we live right now or no?
Yeah. But you know what? My people who watch me are kind of used to it, and I just seeing somebody who's so well seasoned having like weird technical issues just makes me feel
Always.
very not alone. Like I'm an IT guy, and sometimes my stream shit's fucked up, and it's so embarrassing internally.
No, literally always my life. My audience can't hear us just yet. I didn't know if you needed time or space, but I can transfer us over there too so they can see us and everything.
Oh, hi, Elk.
Yeah, I'm a boomer. Everybody knows that about me. Okay, so I can transfer us over. You consent?
Yeah. By all means.
Okay. Perfect. Exciting.
I am very
Okay.
excited.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
This has
Okay,
been
you're
a
gonna
really
have to
fun time.
like, yeah, you're gonna have to like organize it. Tell I'm here. You tell me what to do.
Yeah, so I sort of primed my viewers for this already. I thought before we get into the meat of this, I'd just like to chat with you for a few minutes because we've talked uh on panels and stuff together, but you and I have never like chatted, so I figured just give us a couple minutes to more or less like warm up with each other before we
Yeah.
get into the meat of it. It seems like a good
Okay.
idea to me.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
I'm real quiet.
Yeah, let's see. How's the audio, bros?
Oh, you know what? That makes sense. That should be a lot better, huh?
Yeah, you got louder.
Cool. Thank you, War Lizard. I appreciate it. So I have never really had any kind of a negative opinion about you, but I've always referenced you as reminding me of Mona Lisa Saperstein from Parks and Recreations. I don't know if you know who that is.
Dude, I only know Parks and Recs very briefly. Grumpy girl, blonde girls. Which
No,
girl?
she has like she has like your energy and her energy matches like perfectly. Um,
Okay.
and I've even played like clips of her online just so people don't think that I'm like totally out of left field with it. I can watch some of your streams. In some of your streams, like if you're having a high energy day, sometimes I can't do it. Like if I'm driving, there's no way I can watch you if you're high energy. I'm like, oh my god,
Sure.
this is just too much for me, which is
Sure, sure, sure.
amazing because I'm generally a pretty high energy person.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never I've even said to you like I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It's just that you are a very big personality. I think if you're not
Yeah.
ready, if somebody's not ready to interact with you, they're gonna be a little bit taken aback.
Yeah, I can see that actually. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think I've gotten that feedback in my life.
So like I get told a lot like you're too much in my personal life, or like you're being too much right now. Uh, I get a sense that you've had that thrown at you a couple of times,
Yeah, well, I'm
or
very
you're being
diverse.
extra.
Yeah, I mean, I give people the language to take time away from me, whether it's from themselves or me. So, like, I like when people say, like, okay, Brittany, like, it's too much right now. I'm like, okay, bye. And so I like that's why I'm a big fan of rejection. I think rejection is like a consent thing. It like allows people to share the right amount of space with you and not overdo it or get it overwhelmed with each other. So even my mom will say things that's so funny where she'll be like, I hope your husband calms you down. I hope you marry someone who's like peaceful and calm, so he balances you out. And I did
That's
marry someone
funny.
who's a lot calmer than me. So that probably helps. But yeah, I think that's even he and I go, okay, I love you. I'm overstimulated. Give me a second. And I think that's just like a beautiful gift we can give one another is like a chance to say, I need time away.
Yeah, I it sounds like people say it to you in nicer ways. Like usually I get things like I can't handle you right now or things like that if I'm like really
Mm,
high strung.
mm-hmm.
But
Sure.
yeah, I think that's pretty useful language. By the way, guys, like the stream, and if you're not following Brittany, give Brittany a follow and like her stream too. Even
Same.
if
I've
for
linked to
some
your
reason,
channels and stuff.
even if you can't give her for some reason a free subscription on YouTube or Twitch, already on both. Even if for some reason you don't want to do it, at least like her stream.
Mm, appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So one of the things I plan to talk to everybody about is, and I'll say it for me too.
Hmm.
Uh, why do you think that you're qualified to give people advice about relationships?
I don't know that I'm qualified to give anyone advice so much as I'm qualified to share the tools I've learned throughout my life. And if they benefit you, great. And if they don't benefit you, throw them away.
What a humble way of saying yeah, that you are qualified. So then let me reframe the question to fit that lens. What do you think? Why do you think that the tools that you've acquired throughout your experiences in relationships are effective?
Mm. For myself, I think the proof is in the pudding. I've gone from toxic relationships to healthy relationships. I'm a person who's gone from the wrong side to the right side, meaning healthy. I've been unhealthy. I've become healthy. I know what it's like to be in a toxic relationship. I know what it's like to be in a healthy one. So I think I'm a person who learns the lessons life gives her. And I think that that's all that we're always seeking is to learn the lessons that life is trying to teach us.
What do you think a toxic relationship? How would you define that?
I feel like a toxic relationship is, or a toxic person in general is somebody who's moving further away from their joy and more towards their own, like, I guess, destruction, or what I call like the mythos of evil, because I don't really believe in evil, but I believe like evil is the opposite of joy. It's moving away from that thing that makes you symbiotic with the self or symbiotic with somebody else. So I think like really good people can be toxic. And I think I considered myself a good person in my 20s, but I was toxic enough to get into toxic relationships. And it wasn't until I started to get healthy, I realized that I had made decisions that were about me and not about even the people I was choosing. It was really about me. And I was toxic enough to let myself be in those relationships. And so I had to realize, like, okay, do I want to be this person or do I want to be a healthier person? And being a healthier person meant getting rid of those relationships. And that's really difficult, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that I focused on my joy, what would lead me towards my joy. And that's just what ended up happening.
So just for people that aren't as familiar with how you talk, I am at least
Yeah.
familiar enough with how you talk. I think what you're saying is that you weren't putting yourself first, and you were finding yourself being like emotionally dragged down by other things, so you decided to do what makes you happy. Is that correct?
Mm. More than that, I didn't have values. I thought I
Mm.
did. I didn't know when temptation came knocking what was the right decision to make. I didn't know how to say no to people that were asking for help that wanted to do bad. I didn't know, like, I knew in my heart like something was wrong, but I didn't know how to verbalize it. And so I think more than being happy, because happy is an emotion, it comes and goes. I was looking for a joy that was foundational and consistent because my values were consistent. So I didn't form a set of values like a code of honor until I was like 30 years old.
Oh, sure.
I struggled my whole life with like, what is my code of honor? What is that thing that when temptation comes knocking or opportunity comes, where is my line? And so I worked really hard to find that line, which means that I invited different people into my life at different times because I didn't know how to put down that line.
Sure. Okay.
Hmm.
So then maybe the way that I would characterize that is uh, you were seeking out fulfillment rather. Because for me,
Definitely.
fulfillment is when the things that you're doing and the choices that you're making and what you're doing internally are in line with your values.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah,
that
base.
makes pretty good sense to me.
Yeah.
And by the way, if anybody wants to call in, there's a call-in waiting room in the Discord. I don't know if did I give you a link for your people?
You did, and I've been linking it in my chat. So the chat should have the invite, and I'll post it again so
You
you
know,
guys can see it.
I'm gonna DM you a new one just in case that old one expired.
Okay.
I can set mine to
Sure.
never expire and it'll still change. I have no
Yeah, yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Discord is unnecessarily complicated in some ways. Um cool. And then for myself, I had somebody naysay this stream like 10 minutes before we went live and said these are
What's that mean?
literally the very last two people I would ever take relationship advice from.
Naysay?
They're basically waving off the idea, the premise of this stream, saying that you
Oh,
and I are literally the very last two people they would ever take relationship advice from, which is why I thought it would be good for us to both say why we think that we ought to be here doing this.
yeah, I mean, let me tell you. I think everyone feels that way about people who are different than them. Why take advice from people that are different from you? I think that's a good question. I think what I try to do is take the good out of people that are different from me and see if it applies to my life. And if it doesn't, then it's not for you. Like I eat meat. I'm literally making beef jerky right now. I'm still going to ask my vegan friends like for advice or recipes or health like facts. It doesn't mean I'm going to be vegan, right? I'm monogamous now, but I've been poly. You know what I mean? I've read every book about relationships that I could get my hands on, from queer relationships to straight relationships. It's not about seeking advice from people that are the same as you. It's about seeking advice from people that have similar values to you. So I assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, we believe in consent, the validation of our partnerships and ourselves, making sure there's dignity within the relationship, making sure we're doing the best for ourselves and our partners. Like I'm assuming I'm not collabing with someone right now who's like going to break their partner's consent like joyfully, or who's going to like unnecessarily be cruel to the people they love. Like I'm assuming I'm collabing with somebody who shares the similar value of like loving the people we're with and therefore showing dignity to them. If they think we're unqualified to give that advice, that's fine, but that means they might have different values, right?
Sure, I agree with that, and also I think people are a little bit weirded out about getting advice from people that are different than them. However, if you wanted to get advice from somebody that's the same as you, well, they're probably going to be making the same decisions you'd already make.
Mm,
So you probably need to reach a little bit farther outside of your comfort zone, anyways.
mm,
For me personally, ever since probably I was in high school, people have asked me for advice about the relationships without me asking. It's been thrust upon me like
for sure.
always, and I've always found that
Always.
I've been able to give people advice that they've been successful with much better than I'm able to take my own advice.
Oh, for sure.
And aside from that, I've been with my wife for 11 years. We've been married since, oh my gosh, the time has flown, 2016. So we've been married for a long time. We're
Awesome.
both still very happy. It's funny, actually, somebody in my chat is my wife's cousin. I was friends with him
Oh,
first.
cool.
Uh, he belongs
That's
to me,
great.
not her. And otherwise, I've taken my romantic life has always been a really, really big part of my life. It's something that I've always been
Yeah.
very serious about. When I have issues in my relationships, I talk the way a therapist would tell you to talk.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
I try to do things the right way,
mm.
which can be annoying to people at times, but I think overall is usually pretty effective. And the reason why I ask
Yeah.
you, and I'm going to have other guest hosts on that are very different from me, is because my advice may not fit with everybody. And I think it's really important if somebody wants some kind of help that they're able to get it from more than just one person looking at the situation.
How do you feel then? Can I ask you? I don't know if we have callers lined up yet, but I'd love to
I have
ask you
one.
questions okay, this is my, I guess. Well, do you want to go into the questions before we deviate? And if we have no callers, we can talk because I have questions I could ask you for sure.
Why don't you ask me a couple questions? I see you in the waiting room, Emery. After you're done with that, then we'll take a caller. And I have things for in between callers as well lined up.
Okay, good, 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 good. First, my chat and I want to know how old were you guys when you got married?
I was, I'm 30. You're making me do math. Let's see. Uh, it's 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Nine, four. I was 29,
Okay.
and I think my wife was 22. We have a pretty big age gap.
Okay. Okay. And then you guys have been together for this long, so that's pretty good. I mean, that's a good run. And you said you've been happy, which is great. I'm curious, do you guys feel like best friends?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like if I get into something, if I pick up a new hobby, if my wife's not into it, I'm gonna drop that hobby.
Interesting. 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 Even the hobbies. Okay.
Yeah, like I mean, what's the point me spending a bunch of time and energy into it if I have to do it like without her? It just feels weird to me. And we're not the kind of people like
Mm.
I have to do everything that she does. But if I'm going to put a ton of time and energy into something, I want
Sure.
it to be something that she enjoys too. Because there's
Mm,
nothing that I'm
okay.
going to be doing consistently that often by myself. That if my wife's not a part of it, like I'm going to have to at a certain point like pick spending time with my wife or time with my hobby, and that's just not a situation I want to find myself in.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I thought we'd start there just to get a gist of our differences. So I've been married very little. I'm married 1 year in August. I'm a newlywed. So we're almost at our 1 year now, and it's very new for us. So we're still very excited, of course. I think we'll probably always be. We feel very much like best friends, and we do so much together, and our whole day just feels like we never have enough time, even though we literally have all the time. And so that's pretty exciting. But at the same time, we have very different hobbies, and at the same time, we have a lot of overlapping ones. So it's been exciting. It's been really great. But that bestie energy, I see is not a universal trait. My parents feel like best friends. I definitely wanted to mimic that in my marriage because my parents have been together for like nearly 40 years. I have to do the math, but it's a long time. And it's definitely something that I think is valuable in relationships, though I know it's not the energy everybody wants in their partnerships.
I guess so. It just seems so weird to me. I feel like if I'm very excited about something, if my wife can't understand it, like who am I going to go tell? Who am I going to tell that's going to be happy for me in a way that I'm going to be
Mm,
able to like get something out of that happiness that they're
sure.
having for me? So I mean,
Sure.
it's not a completely alien idea to me, but I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, yeah. I get that.
Did you have more? Or do you want to take the caller?
Let's take a caller.
Alrighty, I'll pull him in. Wait, why can't? There we go. Hello, Emery. You there?
Hey, can I be heard?
I can hear you.
Hello.
All right. I'm just so curious. Why did you feel the need to say that Nathan would have been better off aborted since Destiny doesn't tuck him in every night?
I didn't say that. But where'd you hear that?
You actually did. You
What?
actually did.
Did
You
I?
said people that are born with their
What is
parent
happening?
not being there all the time would have been better off
Mhm.
aborted. So yeah, you kind of did suggest that.
Wait, do you want to
But I
take
didn't
this
say it.
call?
Honestly, I'm not that surprised, like a hater's calling in, but I didn't say that. You just misunderstood it. But that's okay. We speak
Yeah,
different
okay,
languages.
yeah, okay. You implied it, you dumb fucking piece of shit. Holy fuck. Like you're
Yeah, we can
actually
block them.
subhuman.
We
You
can block
actually go
them.
kill yourself. Go kill yourself,
Whoa.
faggot.
Whoa, whoa,
I already tried
whoa,
kicking
whoa.
too. Jeez.
Bro, my TOS about to be crazy, bro.
Me too. Emery, why would you do that on my stream, dude? Like,
Inappropriate, bro. It's
you're literally a
okay. I
2 month
get
member on my YouTube. Why would you disrespect the stream like that? Jesus
it's always
Christ.
the memberships. It's always the members, bro. Just kidding. I love my members.
I was like, when he's in the chat, I was like, I didn't even know Emery was in a relationship, to be honest.
Well, obviously not with that attitude. Well, hopefully not, maybe.
Sorry, I had absolutely no idea that that was coming. He's called in on a bunch of things. Give me 1 second. I have, like I said, I have things in between calls. I'm really sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
So one of the things that I did for preparing in between calls, and also I wasn't too sure about the frequency of calls because it's the first time doing this, and
Yeah.
I just moved, so I've been streaming very little leading up to this. So one of the things that I
Hmm.
did was I pulled up some relationship questions people had on Reddit,
Oh, great.
and I tried to find ones that were more broadly applying. Um, it's your call. Do you want me to give you the gist of it, or do you want me to read the post?
Whichever way communicates the best amount of information to us so we can have the best conversation, I think. So if there's a
Actually,
general question, whatever, what do you think?
Actually, yeah, there's the title really does it pretty well. My girlfriend told me that she feels disturbed because I want to have sex with her on a normal basis. How do I go about this? Um, and they did add just in the edit. I think this is the only other really relevant things. They're not begging for sex every day. He just asked if she's in the mood because often she tells me that she's in the mood, but we still don't have sex. And I always point out
Mm.
that that's how I feel that that's misleading, and it gives me false hope instead of just telling me no, which I would appreciate. So it
Man,
seems
I
like
really,
the guy really
yeah.
wants to have more sex, and like not only is she not doing it, but she's also sort of like leading him on into thinking that she wants to and then not, which I think is not the most unusual problem I've heard of.
Well, the question is always like, why? Like, why is that happening? I wonder why would she do that? Or why would that be the way they're communicating, which is interesting. So she's showing interest, but then pulling away?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so weird. But I see, then my brain goes, well, why is that happening? Like if I have callers that are couples, sometimes I have couples who call me. And again, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a person who's giving people tools. Like that's my shtick, right? And when people call me, they're usually, they've done the counseling and they've done those things, but they're really asking is like, do you have tools to give us from your own lived experience? And usually when I ask people why, it's kind of amazing to me how much like people don't know how to answer that question. They're like, I don't
yeah.
know why I do that actually. I don't know why I do that. And I was like, well, I think we should always start there. I think there's a lot of things that like therapy does that's for the brain. That's your mental health. But then philosophy help is your why in terms of your values or your beliefs. Why do you even have a relationship in the first place? Ooh, that's a question I can ask you actually. Why even be married? Why even be in a relationship?
So that's actually an interesting question that sometimes comes up for me because I'm polyamorous. You say, well,
Mm-hmm.
what's the point in even being married then?
Sure,
And the
sure.
cute little answer that I give to people on the face is that my wife isn't my one and only, but she's my one that's always. There is an
Aw.
unshaking faith that I have that I'll be with my wife unless, like, if we're not together, it's because that's what she decided. It's not what I'm going to decide.
Mm.
I super super love my wife. Everybody who knows me
Mhm.
knows it. But the main reason I wanted to get married to her is that I think that it's largely because of the way that society views marriage and that it's one of the very few rituals that we have. that are like actually celebrated. And I think that there's still a lot of value in performing what's essentially a love ritual in front of your friends and family. It does put a bit more weight to the relationship when you do something like that in front of all the people that you both care about
Sure.
and make these promises to each other. And I think that for me, because I'm not religious either, this is where the value is really coming from. It shows a level of sincerity that can't really be shown otherwise. And I think that if you're going to invest, I think if she's going to invest all this time into me, that I think it's important that she has some kind of solid foundation that's more than just like sort of taking my word for it.
Sure.
Which marriage
Sure.
kind of still is that, but there's still there's a bit heavier weight to that, and that's really all I can do to show my level of sincerity to my devotion to her.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think like what word would you use? I'm always struggling with my audience. What word should we use? But do you think she's like your soulmate or like the love of your life or one of the many people, because you're polyamorous, of course, I believe in multiple loves of your life. Do you think she's one of the like loves of your life?
Yeah. So one of the things that like even when her and I talk about, it's just the idea that I really can't picture myself in the future like without her. Like I don't really know what I would do. I think I'd be really lost. I
Mm.
really like the term like better half.
Hmm.
Um, if I'm going through something, like if I can't talk to my wife, like it's going to be made infinitely worse because of that.
Yeah.
Um, and even like I said earlier, like celebrating my joys, there's pretty much a cap on how much joy I can get from something that should be like no limit to how happy I could be from it if I can't share that with her as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's beautiful. I definitely think that my partner, like my parents raised me with this idea that there were many good people that were kind of quote meant for you. Like in their words, God prepared for you, but it's not one person. It's a matter of who you meet first, or in any case, whenever you meet them. And so I feel like I definitely did find my person. Like I ran into him and I'm so glad we did, but it could have been many of us, like it could have been other people. It was just we were the first ones who ran into each other, and we have decided to be monogamous even though I did poly for 10 years and that was great. um and it's really working out for us in that capacity, but I think it's because we're so high compatibility. Like it's almost magical. I don't really believe in magic or God or like, but it is so, the compatibility is so good. It's it's the only time I've ever lived with someone where I felt like I was living with myself without it being me, because he's so different than me. He's just totally his own person. But I've never felt so comfortable with someone. All the walls are down, all the weird, just I'm just completely myself. And it feels so good. And a big part of that is the resume. So our values were similar and our va va voom was good. So our chemistry was on point. And I think that together just feels really magical.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think
Hmm.
part of the compatibility thing is being able to see things about the other person that they miss, because we're usually
Mm,
pretty blind to things about ourselves.
mm.
So like I guess that's important because that's how you help each other grow. Um,
Mhm.
if my wife brings up something over and over again and I'm dismissing it at a certain point, I'll be like, well, she's probably seeing something that I'm not, so I should just talk to her about it instead of disagreeing only. And I
I
think that
will
that's
say,
pretty good,
mhm.
pretty high priority that you should have if you're going to be with somebody for a long time, is that they're not like your yes man.
Yeah, well, I think I would hope, and this is okay, so my theory is like 80% of people settle in relationships. And when I say settle, I mean they'd rather be with somebody than alone, but they didn't end up with the person that they really wanted, which is different. And I think that's why the divorce rate is so high. I do. I think that's my theory. I don't know how I would know that. There's 8 billion people on the planet. It's anecdotal. Okay, I'm guessing. But I think trust plays a huge part in this. I trust myself to pick a good partner, and my partner trusts himself to pick a good partner. And because we trusted our own judgment in picking good partners, we're also going to trust them when they see something we don't see. And so if I reach out to him and I say, "Hey, I'm noticing this thing," or he notices it, we have a discussion about it. In the discussion, we have like our own method, which some people don't like this, but for our both of our brains, it works really well. Which is when we have a discussion, especially a hard one, we say, "Are we going to look at this analytically or emotionally?" So, am I going to come to you as your wife and speak to you in my feelings, or am I going to come to you as like a person who says, "Let's observe our behavior"? if we were observing ourselves like in an office, like, does this make sense for what our goals are? It's like the difference between saying, what it is ultimately is there's so much trust. It's just such a completely safe space to say, I think I'm seeing something. And then if one of us is wrong about our observation, it's not personal. It's just us checking in. So ultimately, I think the foundation of that is like a deep trust. The Gottmans, I don't know if you know who they are, but they've written like not thousands, I'm exaggerating, 50 books or so on relationships. And they said, we recently reviewed it, they said betrayal is at the heart of basically every relationship that deteriorates. If there is betrayal, if there's a lack of trust, cheating, stuff like that, infidelity of any kind, financial or emotional or sexual, it's really hard to come back from that because that trust it's hard to recreate it when it's been decimated. So for us, I would say trust is kind of key. How does that play out in your relationship in terms of how you and your partner even have a polyamorous relationship, right? Because for me, when I did poly, trust was everything, right? We're trusting all of us together to be safe, considerate, safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think that I mean, it's been a really long time, so I'm a pretty easy person to trust, I find, because I don't have full blown OCD, but I have obsessive compulsive tendencies, and I didn't even realize this till I talked to food shops who overshares and like they just say things that are super honest that they don't need to, and they mentioned they have OCD, and it clicked. I was like, oh my god, I notice all kinds of things that are just like, that's what this is from. Yeah, I'm compulsively honest. If I tell somebody a lie, like I have to like a boss because I was on the spot before, and I knew that like if I just told the truth, even though it wouldn't have been understood right, and I could have gotten fired, I'll come back within a day like absolutely wrecked from it and just tell the truth. I can't do it. I can't do the thing where you have to lie on top of lies, and I also if I'm close with somebody, if they lie to me, it breaks me.
Yeah.
I have this idea that if you lie to me, then I'm building my ideas about you based on things that aren't true. And the further I get from that lie before finding out, the less of the person that I understand for, like, as who they are. So like if I was with somebody and I found out they had been lying to me for like 2 years, I don't know who they are. I've created an image in my head that is so far from who they are that they're unrecognizable to me. I have an image in my, like, I'm in love with somebody who doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Like I imagined them.
Yeah.
And so I will react that way because that's really what actually is happening. We all build images of other people in our head. But hopefully this is based on like true things that actually reflects like the truth about them, or like that the things that they tell you are honest, because every interaction you have with somebody sort of builds that image and fine tunes it a little more and a little more. And depending on how big of a lie or how long you've been going with it, it just radically shifts that reality. And I don't know how to grapple with like the false image of the person and like the actual person, and then you still have to interact with it. It's way too much for me. I just can't deal with it. So honesty and trust are really easy on my end. I think for a lot of people that I've dated, most people have a hard time being like extremely open and honest. And so I can be very hard to deal with when they have to deal with me coping with them lying to me. Like even if it's like a white lie or anything. And I'm not like the kind of like scream in your face, like throw things or like punch the wall kind of person, but I get pretty emotional about it.
Yeah,
so
I think I relate a lot to that.
There's like a bit of a learning curve in dealing with somebody who's like me in that respect.
Yeah,
But
I relate
also,
a lot to that.
do you?
Yeah. My partner and I, we actually practice radical honesty. And it is something that some of my friends do think is crazy. They're like, you say everything? I was like, everything. We say every little thought. Like, we're both neurodivergent. We just say things out loud. We say every little thought in our brain. And it is sometimes like very like, oh my God. Like now I know why people lie to their partners, because that is a lot to handle. But thank you for telling me. And then we have these things where it's like inner thoughts, things you don't think about that people share with you. Like even, I don't know, it's hard to explain because some thoughts maybe are just for yourself, but at the same time, I kind of want to know them all. So we kind of practice this like radical honesty where I'm like, can you just tell me like, what are you thinking? And then it is weird to hear the inner thoughts of a person, because I would never want to read someone's mind. It feels like a violation of privacy.
Sure.
But it is kind of cool to have those conversations. And I think I I appreciate that I mean, I wouldn't have married him otherwise, but that we share this value, because we want to spend our life with each other. And so we want to give our life to one another, which means you have to tell me what's going on. What are you interested in right now? What are you reading about? Like, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts on this? You know, I mean, we're one of those couples who definitely talk about like, how's your stomach feel today? Did you sweat enough today? Have you had enough water? Like, we talk about everything. Um, and it's nice. It's like a great feeling. I also don't like lies. I think this is part of my like black and white thinking, but also my morals is like, I don't need you to lie. I can handle it. The world, I've read so many books. I've met so many people. You're not going to say anything to me that I've not heard before. I just want you to be honest so I know what to do. Don't lie to me. Now, as an older sister, I have 7 little siblings. They've lied to me, of course. Okay. It happens. What I
Sure.
usually do is when I build a model of someone like you is like I paint a picture of them and I'm like painting this like Mona Lisa. And then if I find out something's a lie, I like erase it from the painting and now I'm like, should I replace it with something that's true or not? Because now there's just a blank space there. So anything that's true goes on the painting. Anything that's not true doesn't. But then if they're liars or chronic liars, then I have to paint a version of something that represents that on the painting.
Right.
Because some people have those habits, maybe from trauma, genetics, life, whatever it is, morals. Lots of people don't mind lying. Lots of people prefer it. That's a question for you. How many
Yeah.
couples have you met? How many people who actually say they prefer to be lied to by their partners? Because I meet a lot.
I have met people. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that I've met that do, but don't want to say it. My wife took me
Ooh.
over to her friend's house for it was like a dinner party or something, and the woman and her husband were both hiding the fact that they smoked cigarettes from each other. And I was, and my immediate reaction was like, why are they even married?
Yeah, what is
So I said to
happening?
my wife, she's like, don't say anything to Josh about her smoking. And I was like, all right, I won't. But then I was like, why are they even married? And then when I was outside having a drink with like, it was just like the guys congregating out there. He's like, he asked somebody for a cigarette and then he was just like, just don't tell her, okay? And then he smokes. I'm like, what the fuck even is this?
Yeah,
This is
what's going
so weird
on?
to me.
Is it a
Very,
kink?
very alien. I don't know. But I've met people who are like I've met what I would say is like bad polyamorous people. Like you could do
Mm.
whatever you want. I just don't want to know about it.
Oof. Yeah.
Well, then
Yeah.
do they like have to just lie to you then at certain points? Like how does that even work? Where were you at? They can't be
Yeah.
honest and have you not know. Is this a trap that you're setting for them? Or like what? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane to me. I could never have that kind of like workarounds. By the way, we have a caller.
Great.
I'm gonna pull them in now. Hello, can you hear us? Oh, you're muted. Let's see. I am not the one muting you. We'll give her a
Hello.
sec. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I have the stream still playing. Do you
Oh, no problem.
or no? All right.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do you like need my camera on or anything or no?
That's totally up to you.
Okay. I'll stay off for now.
No problem.
Just a question, like a general question about relationships. And this is specifically, I guess, within the context of monogamous couples. Have you guys or people you know, doesn't have to be like specific, like struggled with misaligned sex drives between partners where, you know, maybe throughout long-term partnership, you know, sex drives can decline and stuff like that, or misaligned schedules, things like that, I think really gets in the way of a lot of normal relationships that are healthy otherwise. And you can still communicate through those things, but to the core of it, you know, dealing with that misalignment between partners. How do you recommend people resolve that, or you know, try to get through it?
Do you want to go first or me?
Whatever you're comfortable with, you can go first.
Okay. So one of the things I think is really important to keep in mind is that if your partner is more sexually active than you can still remedy that without having to engage in like sex yourself. Like you don't have to, like if you don't want to have sex, you have hands, you have a mouth, there's toys of galore available. You can still be sexually supportive without like having to actually have sex. And I think that if that's something that you're comfortable with, this is something that I think gets overlooked a lot when I hear people complaining about like sexual frequency incompatibility. So like, well, my husband wants to have sex like way more than I do, or my girlfriend wants to have sex way more than I do, and I'm like, well, why don't you just go down on them? Like, is that something you're not comfortable with? Because like there's a
Right.
big difference between like being in the mood to have sex and being in the mood to like essentially just doing them like but
Pleasure.
I guess in a long-term relationship, like doing them a kindness. It would be like akin to like giving my wife a back rub if I wasn't in the mood.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
I
would say,
definitely see what you're saying.
and certainly being communicative about like why you're not is like pretty important, because even if you are just doing that, they're still going to be wondering like, well, why don't they want to have sex with me? If you're really open and honest about the reasons that's happening, it's going to lead you really far into being able to solve that in a really positive way, I think. What do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, I think my brain wants to say that there's like a lack of being on the same team when we're out of sync with one another. So I heavily subscribe to the idea that like we are a team and it's us against the world. Like we are not like when you marry your husband, you're supposed to like cling to him and like not your family. And so I love my family and they're involved in my life, but my family is now him and I and our cat, and like our life is we are the team, okay? And so for me, if there's like a moment of scheduling, whether it's sex or jobs or work or vacations or going out to a restaurant, we have to be a team about it and we have to agree to a plan and high five after. You know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes life gets in the way and threatens the sanctity of the relationship, which is why I prioritize relationship over life, but never at the expense of survival. So relationship comes first, but not at the expense of our status of living. Status of living comes first, but not at the expense of our relationship. And so it's kind of like if we're out of sync, then that means we're not being a team, is kind of how I think of it. So I would recommend to those couples get on the same page again, because like this is the best thing you're ever going to do in life, which is to have a partner to do life with. And at the same time, you are doing life with this person, which means the best thing you're going to do is live your life, and your life is their life now. If you run your relationship that way, of course. That's the problem, is like, how do you have a relationship? Why do you have a relationship this way? Also, Eldorazi, I don't know if it's anyone else, but your typing's pretty loud. So I don't know if it's
Oh, I'm
like
sorry.
muffling anything I'm saying. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that? What's the caller's name? I didn't get it. I'm sorry.
My name is Haley. I'm in your
Haley.
Discord.
Oh, great. Awesome. Love that. Does
And
that make sense though?
Yes, yeah, no, that makes sense. So I guess a follow-up question would be like, so I mean, me personally, I'm fine to talk about personal stuff, you know. We have like tried scheduling things out and that does work, you know. But then I feel like it gets to a point where it's like, you know, I guess maybe sometimes, at least me personally in my relationship, the struggle is with the initiation and like both of us being in the mood. And I mean, but I do think it does have a lot to do with schedules, you know, like people are busy, I'm busy, I work and study. But yeah, I think that like, I don't know, it's hard to kind of get in that mode for me at least, you know, when it's like, but then when I'm in it, you know, I'm fine, I'm good. So I think it's kind of, at least for me, it becomes a stressor of like, I want to maintain this good relationship and I want to like, you know, please them too, because they, you know, want to fuck. So
Sure.
I want to, you know, do all the right things and be a good partner and stuff. But yeah, then it's like sex becomes almost a stressor, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it
Like
really
how do you
can.
get back to that point of like, oh, let's just jump into this. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think we ever go back. We only move forward and recreate anew. So
okay,
look, I'm an
yeah,
adult, you're an adult. I have fibro, I have chronic illnesses. Sometimes you get tired. Sometimes the sex drive is impacted by birth control. Life is stressful. He's not in the mood.
right,
I'm not in the mood. But man, do we miss each other? Like, man, do we like, we always say like, oh, I really miss you. And like, that's like
yeah,
an indication of, man, it's been a second. But it's been a second because life is we are not aligned with like the right moment. So instead of dreading the fact that we haven't done it, it's more like making sure to take advantage of the moment when it comes and recognizing that like there's other priorities right now, but never at the expense of the relationship. Nothing should ever be at the expense of the relationship. You should always be moving towards the success of the relationship. So if something is messing up, fix it. If it's not actually a mess, accept it. So the question is the lack of sex actually impacting the relationship, or does it feel, is there a worry it's impacting the relationship? Because if it's just a worry for now, I wouldn't worry about it. But if it's actually impacting, do something about it. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, that definitely makes sense. And I think that definitely, it helps me. It helps me for sure.
Good.
Okay.
One of the things that you said that I definitely have been able to relate to is that you said like it's kind of stressful in that like you're not really in the mood to until like you're like actually starting. I've been there before. One of the things that I've noticed has been really, really helpful is if it's just okay for either person to just say, hey, do you want to have sex? And that way, even if you're not like super, like at least the door is open, and then you can and then you can remind yourself like, once we start, I'm going to be good. I found that to be really, really helpful. I think most people, when they think about dating, like in the early parts, you usually want things to be spontaneous and like super hot and all that. But like when you're in a relationship and you're with each other all the time and you just have sexual needs, it's totally fine to just say, hey, do you want to have sex?
Right. We actually do ask each other a lot of the time, so we're good with that. But I do think, like, building off what you were saying, I think a response of like, maybe I could get there, like that could be a response rather than like yes or no, because I know, so maybe throwing that in there, so like, oh, let's get this thing going.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like me either, but sometimes, and I hate when this happens, but like I don't like having sex if I haven't like showered kind of recently. Like I'm a little bit of a, so like sometimes we'll be like, getting things going, and then all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, I have to go shower. Like I can't just like have like, okay. And then I'm annoyed that I didn't pre-shower. So by the time, so the foreplay, because like even for me, like it's nice to have it like you're built up, and when you're so high on the built up, you're like, let's go. And then it's just like, okay, girl. And so there's that part of it. And so I think like timing is never perfect. And I think I've had to radically accept that like timing will never be perfect, but it is what it is. But I can't even tell you how many times I regret not taking a shower,
Honestly, me and my partner are both like that. We'll literally shower and then, it's like a schedule thing. That's our little routine, but totally get it. And I appreciate your answers. I think they really help me.
Yeah, good call. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
It cracks me up as I get older, like how sex incorporates into my life. I've had so much sex, so many threesomes, so many things. And as I get older, it just becomes clear that like sex is just like this great moment of intimacy, but it isn't the end all be all, but it also is so like, especially now we're in our hustle era. So like the next 2 years is like, I am like hustling. I'm working so much. And this birth control and the fibro combination has actually impacted for the first time in my life my sex drive, which is so interesting to me. So it's still pretty high, but it's also like lower than it's ever been. And I'm like, this is so weird because women in their 30s usually have like a higher sex drive.
Yeah.
But I think the combination of my stuff makes me a little less interested, which means instead of like twice a day, I'm like every 36 hours, I'm in the mood. So it's still pretty high, but it's not as convenient because I need to shower.
The birth control is wild. I got a vasectomy strictly so my wife didn't have to be on birth control anymore. And
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my God. Like you said, I was married to, when I was 22, I got married to a 39-year-old woman. That lasted a year. But I have never seen anybody who wanted sex a quarter as much as she did. She was like late 30s. It was absolutely crazy. And then my wife coming off of birth control, she's like, I don't even understand myself. She's like, is this what it was like when you were 18? I'm like, I was like, talk to me in like 6 more years, and then we'll compare notes to what it was like when we're at our like sexual peak. But the birth control is a pretty big pretty big thing, and I hope you're not having any other effects from it, because like after seeing her, it's just like It's poison. That's all I can think of is that it's just poison.
Well, it's funny. I do have like enough side effects on this birth control. It's not my favorite, like 2 periods a month and all that. It really like cock blocks, let me tell you. But at the same time, we're heading towards not having children, and we just haven't gone through with the permanent decision yet. But we're heading in that direction as a couple, and I just don't want to risk pregnancy. But let me tell you, when I get this birth control out, it's gonna be beautiful, bro. I'm stoked.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long have you been on it for?
This one, I guess since a little over a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the next Nexplanon. It's the rod.
Oh, see, I'm not that familiar with that. Almost all of my partners either had a IUD or
Yep.
just the pill, and my wife was on the pill. The IUD seems to be way less impactful than the
Oh, I
pill
loved
does.
my IUD. My IUD was so great in my 20s. Oh, that was the great. I had the Marina. Highly recommend. Decided to do the rod this time around, and I was like, oh man, definitely similar cost, different impact, but everybody is different as well. And the pill
Oh.
I could never do because I'm not going to remember to take a pill every day at the same time, girl. I can't even remember to shower. Okay.
Everybody
You
that
know?
I've talked to in the US, because I know you're not in the US, in order to get Mirena,
Right.
you have to have already had a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got it done in Seattle. I got it done twice. I got it once in California and once in Seattle. I got
Maybe it's
both
just the
implants.
Midwest. I notice a lot of
Maybe.
doctors are pretty weird and sexist in the Midwest. Like my wife's
Mm.
last OB would always be like, when are you gonna have kids? And like, you shouldn't even be asking that ever. Like you can ask
Yeah,
it once as a
hilarious.
joke, read the room, and then take it from and then know if you should
Or
ever
like,
say that
are
again.
you going to? Like, are you going? Like, ask. You know what I
Sure.
mean? But like, it's so
Yes.
weird. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, I've been really lucky. I've always had very progressive female doctors, and so I think all of them were just like, "What are we doing? Birth control, kids, nothing." Like
She
they're
had an
very,
old man.
yeah, well,
Let's check. Okay, we don't have anybody at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I have another.
Reddit.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, bring it.
My girlfriend's angry that I decided to take some annual leave days for myself. So this guy took 2 of his 20 PTO days for him to be by himself and just relax and play video games because he has a lot going with work. He works at a bank and he has a higher up position and he's been really stressed out. So he just took 2 days off just for himself. And his girlfriend's telling him that it's a waste because they're not spending any time together and he's not doing anything constructive. And he feels like this is like really unfair and like it's really stressful and he doesn't know what to do about it.
Does it have their ages or if they're married? Are they married or
girlfriend
girlfriend?
24 and male 27.
Not your soulmate. Break up.
That's
I'm
just
sorry,
straight
wait.
up.
I just don't believe you. I don't think the love of your life is gonna cockblock you from playing fucking video games for 2 days. Like, talk about it, negotiate it, and be like happy that your partner has time off and can engage in like a relax. But then again, here we go. And I know I say this a lot, but I really mean it. As a person who has married somebody where we both need a lot of time alone and not alone, like we are both the neediest and also the most hermetic people. So we both like I literally forget I'm married when I'm in like when I'm in work and I'm hyper focused. I forget anything exists. Like he forgets I exist, and then all of a sudden we remember we're like married and live together, and we're like, oh my god, hi, what's up? Like I live with someone because we're just so like when we get focused, we're not rejecting our partner. We're enjoying the thing we're doing so much that we're here, but it's not at the expense again of the relationship. So it feels like if you had a partner who came to you and said, "Hey, I love you. I really need a couple days off. Is it okay if I spend the 2 days playing video games and having like a boy day or like a zen out day?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, for sure. Let's just schedule it. When do you want to do it? Okay, sounds good. Have fun, babe. I'm going to do this instead. Like I'll do this, you do this." And so again, I think having that symbiotic relationship, working together, wanting the best for your partner is wanting the best for the relationship. And I just feel like when you think to say like, oh, you're not doing anything productive. What productive? We're all on a rock floating in space, girl. You want to play video games? Let's schedule it in. Like this idea that like video games aren't productive is like saying, I don't know, like you're just not going to enjoy your life. Like enjoying your life is productivity.
I agree.
Okay. So I don't know. I don't trust people that don't enjoy their life. I
That's
just
fair.
feel like they're in misery.
And even as somebody who I really like spending all the time with my wife that I can, and if she's
Mm-hmm.
working a lot or if our schedules get like flipped, because some like I
Mm-hmm.
have to take her to work. My wife, she's legally blind; she can't drive. She's
Mm.
albino, so she has like weird eye problems.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
And so sometimes our schedules will get flipped because I'll have to, if I stay up too late, I'll have to stay up all night so that I know that I'll be up to take her to work, and then
For sure.
I won't get to see her enough. However, if she goes away and does something for a couple of days, I'm
Mhm.
like internally, externally super supportive, internally totally dreading it, like, oh, I'm gonna be lonely and all that. But when she's gone, I'm like, I just get to do whatever I want, and
Mhm.
then make sure that
Mhm.
I clean up
Mhm.
the house so that she's not like, what the fuck when she comes home.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I think it's about like really being happy for your partner, like really being happy for the life you've made, and also realizing like, hey guys, I don't know if you know this is the secret to adulting, but you get to do whatever you want within reason. Like you get to literally have the life you want. And I think in your 20s, it's really hard to realize how much power you have because you don't quite have it yet, because you're usually gathering the tools to actually express it. So I can understand being in your 20s. Maybe you're struggling with mental illness. Maybe you're just struggling in general. Like eggs are expensive right now. I get it. So maybe there's like this added pressure of why are you going to go away for 2 days when I feel like I never see you? I'm sure she has her reasons. But whatever the reason is, it needs to be talked about and communicated. And there isn't a right or wrong. He's not wrong for wanting to play video games. She's not wrong for wanting more time with her partner. The question is, why aren't we happy for each other? And why aren't we making this work? And why aren't we also prioritizing, again, the relationship? Like, if my partner, his friends want to hang out with him, he goes, hold on, let me check in with her. He checks in with me. I go, yes, I don't do anything. Of course, you can go out. And then he goes, okay, I'm just checking. And then he goes and makes plans with his buddies and they go and do things. Or sometimes they ask me, do you want to come out and have dinner with us? And then we do that. But it's about checking in with each other because we're happy for each other to be able to do something. And I think often in the wrong relationships, it's hard to be happy for people, even the people we're dating.
um, I noticed that with a lot of people. I'm like if I have a, even I don't even have to be that close of a friend with somebody. If I'm friends with somebody, or if I'm dating somebody, I'm like a super happy for other people kind of person. I'll get
Very
like
compersiony
super
of you.
stoked.
Like, yeah, it's probably why you're good at poly.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I like my like if I think of like my ideal like polyamorous moment, it's if I come home and my wife is cuddling on the couch with somebody, like it makes me feel so good to know that like if I'm not there, she has somebody to take care of her emotional needs.
Sure.
And like that's that, like that mental image is like that personified. Like
Yeah, happy for someone else is happy.
yeah, and that makes me feel really secure, like oddly secure in my relationship, knowing that like I don't have to be the only person that all of her like emotional needs are hinged on.
Sure.
And it feels really good. But I actually, just full disclosure, I've talked to my old therapist about this. I have unusually low levels of jealousy.
Yeah, I don't even think I've experienced it. By every definition, I'm convinced I don't
or
experience it as a
or
person.
envy.
Yeah,
I've
envy
described it
too.
like the worst I ever get it is like a bee sting, uh, whereas people
Mm.
act like it's a nuclear bomb going off. Because like I can
Mm-hmm,
feel
mm-hmm.
like a little bit and then talk about it, and like we're
Mm.
good. Unless you say something in
Yeah,
response to like hurt my feelings, then I'm gonna be upset about that. But like
yeah,
that's it, we're good.
yeah. Yeah, were you raised in that kind of, because my parents literally
No.
raised us to not be envious. Oh no. Okay, because none of my siblings seem to be very envious or jealous of other people. We seem to be very like focused on our own thing. But tell me about that. You weren't raised in that kind of environment.
No, my mom is like an extremely selfish person, and she's the one that raised me.
Mm.
And well,
Mm.
when my dad was in the picture, like, so when I say I'll just my family life's a mess. My my dad is somebody basically who raised me up until a certain point. I never met my
Yeah.
real dad. I talked to him like once on the phone, and
Mm.
he's kind of a dick. Uh,
Mm.
so he's like but my dad, the guy who I call my dad, he's like a really angry, really greedy guy. They're both like
Mm.
very out for themselves kind of people. The reason why things like this work for me super well is because you said it, like when you're an adult you can do whatever you want. I've always said everyone who made the rules are dead, so you can make your own rules.
Totally.
Rather than being able to do whatever I want, I like to make rules for myself that I follow. Like I'm
I like that.
strictly adherent to my own moral framework, and I
Love
don't
that.
expect anybody else to follow it. But like that's
Mm.
my religion. But I wrote
Love
it.
that. Love that. Same. Same. Love that.
um, j- there's nobody in here right now, but I guess it does bring up a good point. I think that for most people, jealousy is a normal part of relationships. Some
Mm-hmm.
people actually, I was with somebody who got really mad at me for not being jealous before.
Been there,
And
done
I'm
that.
like,
Yep.
I don't know what you want me to do. You want me to just be mad at who am I supposed to be mad at? Him or you? Like, what if you want
Yeah.
me to be mad at you? You want me to cuss you out?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Can I fake it? Like, I don't understand what
Yeah.
the structure of the thing you're looking for is here, and like, why do you need that?
I don't want to shame people for feeling jealous or envious. I want to give them an opportunity to have a different perception or relationship with it because, like, humans are going to human is kind of the slogan on my channel. And I feel like everything we do is within nature because we are nature, right? Like, you don't question the nature of a bear because everything a bear does is its nature. Well, everything a human does is its nature. So it's okay that you're jealous or envious in the same way that it's okay that, like, you're alive and having problems. But let's try to mitigate those problems. Let's try to fix things so you can go more towards your joy. So like jealousy is like this fear you're going to lose something, right? And envy is wanting something else that someone else has. And so I think that comes from somewhere. So the question is, where is it coming from? We don't just have things happen because there is an answer, there is a why. And so I think if you want to have a more introspective relationship with yourself, a more introspective relationship with what's outside of you, you need to ask yourself, why am I having this experience? And I have had those relationships where people are like, why aren't you jealous? Why aren't you envious? Why aren't you these things? And I'm like, I'm going to be real with you, bro. Like, I'm just trying to live towards my joy. And my joy is really just focusing on me and what I'm doing and taking care of the people I can within reason. I don't seem to care what other people are doing, but I think I was also born that way. So it's a little bit of a leg up. I don't think I chose not to be jealous or envious. I've never had those experiences versus other people who have them have to learn how to not or to have a better relationship with them. So I actually think I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I just never seem to have struggled with those things.
Sure. I've noticed that people feel very justified when they commit to like a toxic response to their jealousy.
Sure.
And it seems like a lot of people society at large seems to cheer it on pretty well. Like if a woman gets
Mm-hmm.
cheated on, she can hurt him, she can break his car windows, slash his tires, whatever,
Sure.
and this will be
Mm-hmm.
cheered on. This is something that I have always seen as like one of the most toxic and scary things that society promotes,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this idea that you basically have free reign to like unleash all your demons on somebody if they just make you feel a certain way. And for me,
Sure.
my jealousy is no one else's problem. It's my
Mm-hmm.
problem. If you've done something that violates the structure of our relationship, then this is what you've done wrong. Making me jealous is not part of what you've done wrong.
Yeah, I think I don't believe like an eye for an eye. I don't think my morals tell me, and morals are subjective to the person, right? I think that for me, my code of honor says that if someone hurts me, that doesn't give me reason or right to hurt them. I can only do what's good within my own morals. And so like I believe in self-defense, which is like a different kind of situation. It's like I always say, please don't put me in a position to defend myself.
Yeah.
Like, please don't put me in a position where I have to defend myself. Like, I'd rather just like live and let live. Like, even that gentleman who came on the show earlier, like, that's a real human being with a real life and real parents who gave birth to a real baby. And that sweet baby boy became a pest on the internet and showed up on a random stream and tried to break TOS, right? And that's a real person with a real life, a real psychology, real problems. And like, my heart goes out to him, but like, it's his journey. Like we now our journeys have interacted. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, this random person and I have crossed paths. Now their consciousness is like an awareness to me. And I have to be aware like this human and I share a space. But like that's just one of the many billions of people on the planet. So he's like meaningless and meaningful. He's meaningless because he's one of the 8 billion and meaningful because now I have a perception of his consciousness. So like that's a real person. And like you imagine that person in a relationship and like your partner has to say, that's my partner's actions. Like I would be mortified if my partner did that to somebody. But also, what makes a person do this? Like my brain is going to be wondering like, why would a person do that? Like why did the human do that? What a strange thing to do. And then you have to like, there is a reason. There is a lot of reasons, but his morals said it was okay to do this. And like, that's amazing to me. And then it comes, I try to think of my morals that way. Like, just because this person did that doesn't mean I get to go and do something to him. Like, I just have to accept that, like, okay, we had a moment and now we move on with our life. Like, the worst I'll do is probably block him. whoever that was, you know?
Well, I think that sometimes, even relationships or not, we get emotional and we do things, or at least move towards doing things that are outside of our moral system.
Mhm.
I think I talked about this on stream not that long ago. I've always felt like I'm a very nonviolent person. Very few times have I like hit somebody or like taken up violence against somebody. This
Mhm.
guy hit my ex-wife and he locked himself upstairs. We were going to pick up her friend, and her boyfriend, like he was having some kind of bizarre meltdown. He turned on all the lights and all the faucets, and it was like freaking out. And he hit my
Mm.
ex-wife, and the landlord let me in because I was climbing up the side of their house. I was in good shape back then. I know it's hard to believe looking at me now. Um, and he was telling me not to, so then unlock the door, and I grabbed him by his shirt, and I was yelling at him, and I almost hit him. I had my fist up, and he's like, "Do it, just do it," and I put him down. And my ex-wife was like, "I can't believe you didn't do anything," and she was like really happy and really proud of
Yeah.
me. But I've always had this perception that like it's bad to not take
Yeah.
that physical action. And so I think that I've always thought this like physically defending your partner is a really weird dynamic that I think that
Mm.
most people just have no idea what's expected of them or how they're supposed to deal with that at all.
Yeah.
Have you ever physically defended a partner of yours?
No, no, I don't. Much like you, I'm pretty nonviolent, and I don't believe we should be seeking violence. I think it shows sort of like a lack of introspection in my mind. I also grew up with a father that I think would have looked down on people who caused violence, but I think would have said to defend yourself. So thank God I've never been put in a position where I'd have to defend myself in that capacity. Um, so I no, and I don't. I'm glad I don't have. I've never dated partners who were quite like that. Though some of them would, in my toxic days, some of them would talk a big game about it, like, "Oh, I would punch someone out." I was like, "You had best not be punching random people because they said something." Like, you, it's either self defense, like literally self defense, or we're moving on. Like I do not want I don't want a partner who gives me anxiety every time we're in public that they could get into a fight with somebody. And I think there's like a toxic masculinity line where look, life is suffering, but suffer with wisdom. Conflicts will arise. Let's be a little bit wise when we're engaging with it and reduce the conflict, the energy, the tension. And I think it does take a grown person to realize like your job is to de-escalate, not escalate. But I think there's a burden given to men, especially our masculine presenting people, where you're weak if you don't fight back. But I think weakness comes out of a place of a lack of restraint and discipline. And discipline doesn't always look like violence. And I think that's a very like you have to just learn that lesson that discipline doesn't always look like violence. And I don't think many people learn that lesson.
I just think it's distasteful. Like all
Mm.
the very few times I was violent, it was like in my teenage years, and
Sure.
I was endlessly provoked. But I mean, would you physically defend your partner if like somebody was like hurting them?
Well, self-defense is self-defense, right? If somebody has
Okay,
a
I didn't
knife
know if
or a
self-defense
gun,
extended to other people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, obviously,
Okay.
like I said, like don't I come from a conservative background. Everybody has guns. Like, don't put us in a position where like we have to use them. Like, don't do this to us. Don't like put me in a position where I have to defend myself because you will lose. Is kind of like the rule of thumb. Or hopefully, you hope you do the right thing at the right time. But that self-defense, of course. If somebody broke in here, but we would be on a team, right? The team comes first.
Hmm.
So obviously, I would defend my partner against somebody.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense
I'm
then.
literally willing to die for my partner, right? Like that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And hopefully, we make a decision that's within wisdom, right? Like the joke is, everyone always asks, like, okay, if somebody breaks into your apartment, who's gonna go check the noise? And we're like, the cops. Like, what do you want us to do? Go tackle them? Like, we're nerds, okay? Like, we play D&D. Everybody relax. Like, we're not gonna go like try to get a robber. And it's just like silly to think. I think there's like this folklore around defense, like, oh, a big strong man with like a gun's gonna come into your apartment and you're gonna go confront him. Like, you're gonna hop out the window and like hop down the balcony at best. Like, I don't know why people always go for the violent decision.
It's like a hero
Also,
fantasy.
it is a hero fan. It's a literal hero fantasy, and I am not enough of a hero trope to care. I'm not the hero trope. I'm not a Gryffindor.
Yeah, I guess my version of that would be I've always thought it would be the coolest thing, like if somebody offered me $1 million to leave my wife so I could tell them no. Because like I said, like getting married is like a really
Yeah.
big assurance and all that, but
Yeah.
like how like you would know that that person loved you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're ever feeling insecure, yeah, Tuna Chip, the call-ins are in my Discord. Actually, that just reminded me. So my wife and I, and sometimes when we date polyamorously, and by the way, I haven't always been polyamorous. I can give objective advice to people who are monogamous just as well as polyamorous. Some people have brought that up that because I'm poly, like maybe I couldn't have perspective on monogamy.
Do you know why they think that? Because they think relationships shouldn't have a universal sense of dignity. Regardless if it's open, poly, or monogamous, it should be symbiotic, loving, and full of dignity.
Yep. Yeah, people think the other kinds of relationships are different and somehow like
Yeah.
not as valid, I think.
Right.
We have so my wife and I have always had like an open phone policy, and it's generally not used. And sometimes when we date polyamorously, we'll both be dating the same person. And I'll always say, just, you don't have to do this at all. But if you're ever feeling insecure or something, or you want to get some information to just put your mind at ease, I won't feel like you're not trusting me. You can go through my phone whenever you want. I'm a super honest person. And if you find something that's alarming to you, just ask me about it. And it won't ever be a problem. There has been a problem. My wife went on my Facebook, saw something, made assumptions, and then accused me. I'm like, we have a problem. I was like, you could have just asked me. And like, here's what's going on with that. If you just asked me about that, I wouldn't be mad at all, but I'm super mad that you saw something, you made up your mind about what was going on, and then you came at me like that. That's not cool.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, Froggy Style, thank you for gifting a membership. All Rounder, you finally got one. Hell yeah. Do you guys have open phone? And if not, like, is that something you're opposed to?
Oh, we have open everything.
Sure.
Everything. Like there's nothing that's off limits. We also share everything, and I think that kind of helps. Is like we just share everything. So, if I need to look something up and my phone isn't nearby, I just grab his or the iPad, or I grab his computer, or like he grabs my stuff. Like everything is ours. There's nothing that is mine, nothing that is his. It's just ours. But then, of course, realistically, he has his own office. I have my office, my computer, his computer. But then it's our computer. Like realistically, we share everything. So yeah, let me tell you, my husband might have the most boring phone I've ever seen in my life. There's nothing. I looked at it. I was like, give me your phone. And he was like, he gave it to me. And I was like, looking through it and I was like, oh my God, this is the most boring phone I've ever been in my life. Like what? It's so funny versus my phone is so much better. Let me tell you. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I grew up with a family too, where like, if you needed to use a phone, you just grabbed one of your family's phones. Like you didn't think about it. And if the family member themselves is like, don't go into my phone without permission, that's fine. But I come from a very sharing family. I have 9 siblings. We all shared a bathroom growing up. Like, I don't even know what it's like to not share. And also, I'm a sharing is caring kind of person. So, yeah, I couldn't even imagine telling him, like, don't look at my phone. Which, to be honest, though, I think it's because my whole life, look, my romantic version of love is giving myself to someone and having them give themselves to me and having this symbiotic openness, this ability to take down all of my walls, show all of my insecurities, give somebody every part of me. If I was going to hide anything from him, then I'm not fulfilling my own romantic fantasy, my own intimacy fantasy, which, by the way, has only ever been possible with him so far because I feel like he's the only person who can really see me. Everyone else in my life that I love, and I love so many people, I feel like they always see parts of me, and that's so great. But he's the first person I felt like really sees me, like all of me. It's really beautiful, you know?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I always think when somebody's like, hey, don't go through my phone, or if like they're talking with their partner and their phone's face down all the time, I'm like, they're cheating. That's like, and if I think that, like, how are they not going to think that? Like, even if you don't want them going through your phone, like me, I usually have my phone, so you can ask me for it. But if it's there, like, you should still ask me. Just because, like, I don't know, maybe I had a porn window open that I forgot to close or something, and you're not going to react with the kind of reaction speed that I would if I opened up my phone.
Sure.
So like that's generally the rule of thumb. And unfortunately, I had that happen once after my vasectomy. I had to have a nurse come to my house to I had complications from it, and I had to have a second surgery. So I had to have a nurse come to my house for like 2 months, and she asked me about scheduling, and I opened my phone like dick and balls out and everything because she's just still like doing her stuff. I'm like, let me check, and it was so loud, and all I did, I just like hit the volume down, and then just shoved my phone in the couch. Like, whatever you want. Next time is fine. I don't care. I was so
It's okay. Well,
embarrassed.
that happened to me at the airport. I opened up my phone and I don't know why I had Pornhub up. Like, what was I thinking? And then all of a sudden the video started to play and I was like, Brittany? I was like, shame on me. That was, yeah, I've been there.
All right, we do have another caller, and actually,
Great.
he's not just a stream friend, but like actual IRL friend. Him and I have hung out in real life too.
Nice.
Tuna,
Tuna.
do you want your camera on, buddy?
Yeah, I was watching. I just had to mute you guys real quick. Check it out. I'm suddenly
Ooh.
physical in flesh. How we doing?
Nice.
I love it.
So, how y'all doing? I've only caught a small amount of this because you guys are streaming at the exact time when my flesh wants to be asleep. I'm supposed to be sleeping right now, so I'm fully cozied up with the blanket. But I thought I'd drop in and ask you guys a couple of questions.
Yeah, it's,
So-
you're the person I talk to the most about relationship advice.
Yeah,
very fitting.
and I also think that this one is an interesting one for the two of you because it's going to probably replicate something of maybe Jesus Christ, man, you are you are doing weird things on your OBS right now. I'm going to try and not
I
look
had
at
to
that.
reshape for you both to be on the screen.
Well, yeah, it's just the way that you've stretched it is so absurd. Anyway, won't judge you. Okay. Me and my girlfriend have complete opposite concepts of time.
Wait.
Jesus Christ, put those
Yeah.
things down.
No. Oh my God, sir.
For bedtime. Are you kidding me? You psychopaths. No, but legitimate. So me and my girlfriend have opposite concepts of time. Not in a like short-term sense, but in like the long-term sense. For me, I would say let's take like 3 weeks. 3 weeks kind of feels pretty much indiscernible from 3 days to me. They're kind of the same. Once you get past a 1 to 2 day threshold, everything inside of that chunk feels kind of the same. For her, every single day has the same gravity as a full day stacked on top of the other. So whenever anything is happening, whenever there's a progression, like right now we are moving well, she's going to be moving in. I'm doing construction on my house. There's a whole process happening here. Yeah, thank you. But the rate of change on things, it's experienced so different from one person to another. I've multiple times described in past relationships that I really don't feel that differently about a person between, say, like month 1 and year 3. My experience of people doesn't change that much. I love them. I remember experiences with them, but I don't have like a different feeling. It's not like a different level of familiarity. Once I become familiar, kind of set in stone. And I'm just trying to figure out how do you guys think I navigate, or what can I do to like lower the ramifications of that psychological difference?
Are you ADHD?
Yeah, for sure. I've got speed on my table of the legal variety.
Can I ask you a
Jokes
question?
aside.
Just to
Yeah,
clarify,
go for it.
what are you? Which thing are you asking to which thing is the question
I'm
about?
taking it from two different. So because
the
there are
time
two
thing?
people here that can offer two different types of advice,
Yeah.
I'm trying to leverage that. Let me cut it into two questions.
Okay.
For
that'd be better.
Brittany, I think the easiest one would be, Brittany, do you have ADHD?
Probably. I'm going in for an assessment when I can.
Interesting.
But I
Okay,
don't know.
so I assumed that you didn't because you're a woman. What a brutal thing of me to do. Because a woman wouldn't be able to shower if she had ADHD. That's the first thing I think you see the femcel bedroom meme comes true instantaneously. So you might have something of a sort of like self-abused form of ADHD. But I know that Drazi has a very similar variety with me, where it's like there is a time blindness there. What can I do to try and make up for that time blindness? Not feel like there is a affective distance produced over time, because what for her feels like it is been going on for years, because every day feels like a day, and what for me feels like it's been going on for months, is actually the same amount of time. That's one question. And then the other one is, guess what can I do as a person with ADHD to try and make sure that different things that she's frustrated with, like with the house, like she is not happy with how long this house is taking for me to do, but I'm like, I've got a full-time job, I've got all these things. It feels like it's not torturing me, but it tortures her. Well, how am I supposed to navigate that as a person who has that as a feature?
Okay. I think I understand a bit better. I think one of the ways that you can compensate for your differences in time is that and it's pretty cheesy, but in my experience, cheesy things work pretty good in relationships. Try celebrating arbitrary milestones. That's certainly going to that makes people feel cared about more. So like how long have you guys been together? Roughly?
Maybe over a year. I don't know.
Well, you should find out, and maybe like if it hasn't been a year, celebrate your 1 year anniversary with her. When
Yeah, I think,
milestones build up, celebrate a little bit bigger. It'll help her feel like you're experiencing this progression in time and in the relationship more aligned with how she's feeling. For you,
Okay.
it's just a matter of scheduling and doing the thing, but it'll help give her the kind of thing that I'm sure she's expecting from people who have more of a similar outlook on time and like
Is there a
relationship
way
progression.
people remember that stuff, or would you say that
Google Calendar.
myself, I just have to put it in a phone and hope that it tells me?
Probably the phone. For me, I remember like my wife's me and my wife, who was like 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 1 year anniversary, all the holidays and stuff. But if you can't, just put it in your phone and set a notification for like the day before, so that way if you fucked up and you haven't looked at your phone in a while, you can rush and throw something together. But I think that those things are really
Interesting.
meaningful.
I mean, we do. So we currently are living at distance. Before the move in, we're living at, it's like a 2 hour distance, because she is utilizing her parents' insurance for a medical thing. You already know about this, Drazi, but so just to use this example, though, we do visit one another for 2 days every week, the same 2 days, going back and forth. We do things like this. I guess it's not really quite a celebration, because obviously people that were local to one another would be able to spend that much time anyway. But I feel like things like that do at least communicate devotion, severity of commitment. I would say at least once a week it becomes communicated directly verbally that we intend to marry each other. If not in the direct invocation, at least in like it comes up in talking about the house, in talking about her moving in talking about the progress of these things. So stuff like that. But I guess something like an anniversary might have some value to celebrate. I just don't know how you would celebrate it. I've never done that before. It's not a thing I understand. I've never done the Valentine's Day anniversaries. I'll visit family on a holiday or have her visit my family on a holiday kind of thing. That's the highest that I've ever done in terms of celebration. What do people do?
It depends on the thing, but it's like an achievement. Like if you do something that you're really proud of, you're super happy about it. Have you never celebrated anything?
Not a celebrator. You already know that about me. I have like I don't like it. But I've been at holidays. Obviously, I'm not trying to act like an ignoramus here. I know what a holiday is like, or I know what a date is like. But what do you treat it more like? Do you treat it more like one? Do you treat it like the other? Holidays are usually for adults an act of service towards the child, and obviously the opposite role. Am I supposed to treat my girlfriend like a child? That doesn't sound right, because obviously it instills a certain role.
I have things to say, but Brittany, you look troubled.
Okay, so like if I feel like I'm gonna ask you a question that's gonna come off offensive, but I'm gonna ask it.
Give it a
Okay.
go,
Is this
queen
the love
bitch.
of your life?
Is it the love of my life? I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys share the same values?
Yeah. I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay, what's the problem?
What do you mean? What's the problem?
Well, what's the problem?
I'm
If I
saying that frequently
Mhm.
there will be things that she feels like should have happened by now.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about in progression of the relationship. I'm even just talking about like random chores, random things like getting my car fixed, stuff like that.
Mhm.
My sense of time and her sense of time creates a psychological tension. She feels like it's taking forever for me to do random things in my day-to-day life, and I feel like
Mhm.
she's not even letting me breathe before I can even have the thought to do the thing. And
Okay.
that's the before we move in, I want to know what I can do to navigate on both ends that kind of thing becoming a bigger issue.
Okay. Uh, do I have your consent to just like be myself and like?
You
Okay.
could rape me right now, Brittany. Go ahead.
Okay, ma'am, I'm married. Okay.
Not in that way. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay.
Scalpel. Open me up like an alien and a cow. Keep
So
going.
when I say like, do you have shared values? I also mean, are you guys on the same page in terms of understanding like who is the consciousness that you're moving in with? Are you guys at that point where you're the love of your life, so you know you're doing life together because you are actually that compatible? Meaning, she knows she has an ADHD partner. I have an ADHD partner. It's one of those things where like his burdens are his, they're not mine. So like his list of things to do are his list of things to do, and I trust him to do that. But I also know he's at the stage in his life where he has his shit taken care of. It's not my job to like watch over him and make sure he gets it done. Same with me. I have my list of things to do, not his job. We both have a weird sense of time blindness. So like what is a year? Apparently it's been over a year or almost a year since I lived in Europe. Who would have thunk? It feels like 2 weeks. I feel like I just got here. But okay. So what we do is we handle our stuff and we trust each other to do that. I'm worried and concerned your partner doesn't trust you to get stuff done. But then I wonder if she has an expectation of you to be neurotypical when you're not, and why is there that miscommunication if that's the miscommunication? So then I have like a lot of questions, right? Because ADHD partners, you basically sound exactly like one to me. That's pretty common in terms of habits. That's why I'm a very habitual person, because whether or not I have it or not, if I don't do my habits every day, I will not get anything done. So it's all about that habit building, which is very hard for ADHD people. So does she not understand that about your ADHD, or is she hoping you'll get over it?
I mean, I'm not the person being asked the question here, so I don't have that divine access.
Since I have a bit more insight into you and your previous
Sure.
relationships and this one, this is what I think is happening. Your girlfriend has real concerns about. I would say to anybody who's close to you, if they had the same level of insight that she has, would also be concerned about. Like, I know that you've taken what I would think myself and most other people would consider to be a very long time to take care of things that are pretty pressing for a normal, like healthy life. Like I know that you've done other things that were productive, but you neglected, say, like getting your heat turned back on for yourself. And I think it's this
Sure.
level of concern that's not just for her being moving in with you, but it's also concern for you and saying, "Hey, I care about you." Like and so when I'm telling you like this is taking a long time, it's out of like worry for you. So
Mm,
because I've
I
been
don't know
worried
about
about
that.
things for you,
I
but
don't
I
want to
just
be. I
don't
don't
feel
want
I'm
to
in a
be.
position to demand that you take care of those things, you know?
I think that as much as a person could use that as the way that they decide which one of the nagging impulses they vocalize, clearly the thing that is different between me and her that makes it so that she notices things to such a degree that it tortures her, to the point of feeling that she can breach the social barrier because she doesn't want to feel like a nag.
Sure.
Is that it has to be something that is truly baffling and hard for her to comprehend. I'm a little bit more leaning on Brittany's point that it is hard for her to conceptualize what the difference between me and her is on that mental level. I don't think that it's purely out of concern. It's not like a mother removing a child's hand from a hot oven. It's more along the lines of like, what are you doing?
What's wrong with
It's
Yeah.
been like a month.
No.
Like-
Wait. That's too personal. Really fast. I will give this suggestion to you that my partner and I use, and I want to know if it resonates with you. We do a rule. We each have our own separate list that like we make a list of things we have got to get done today and everything we hope to get done today. But the only thing that has to get done today is the thing on the list. And then our rule of thumb is not to give ourselves more tasks than we know we can handle, because like that's not going to be helpful. So like every day I wake up and I tell myself these are the things I need to do today. Today I needed to shower and groom and eat so I can do the stream with Elder Rossi. I needed to do that. And I needed to edit a video and get it up. So I already accomplished all of my goals. And then if I'm really lucky today, I get to edit another video. If I have the spoons, I will do it. But I don't have to do it because it's not on the list, but it's on the hope list. So I, in order to make sure I get my tasks done, do give myself a list of things. And I find this to be very helpful. And my partner has this thing, every Monday he does the bed sheets and it's great. And then he does his thing every day and it's like awesome. And it's working really well for us. But we also know we're a neurodivergent couple that has deficiencies in some areas. We are not neurotypical people. We do not function like regular folk. I don't know how everybody does their laundry and dishes on the same day. That's amazing. Wow. So the question is are you guys working as a team to actually get the team to the next goal? Or are you both relying on each other in ways that I think is unfair almost? Like, is she looking at you like, why aren't you like normal boyfriends? Or is she looking at you and thinking, okay, my partner has ADHD. What do we do? And it's not what do we do? It's what does he do for him and what do I do to support him? But also, are you on the same page in your values where you do get something done every day in order to make the team win? Like, I trust my husband to let the team win. We are a team.
You use a lot of language that I don't understand
Oh.
the meaning behind. So this is kind of a hard one. I can
You
I
want me to
unpack
try
it?
to-
What does making the team win mean? You're talking to like you're on a very different ticket than me.
Yeah. So like when I say love of your life, I mean wipe each other's butts if the other gets Alzheimer's, die together, live till you're 99 years old.
Sure, yeah. My analogy has always been that she could become Stephen Hawking tomorrow, and I would push her around until my arms broke off. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So then I'm efficiency focused myself. So when I say like make the team win, I mean you're doing life together, and I assume you want to be successful at life. I assume that's a bad assumption, maybe.
I don't know. I don't have any idea what that means.
Dreams. Do you have dreams, goals, like things you're aiming for?
I want to not die homeless on the street. I'm more of a avoid negatives than pursue grand positives. I'm not a dreamer by nature.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know what making the team wins looks like. I have a mortgage. I want to keep paying that. I have to work a job. I want to not become disfigured or ill until fate forces it upon me. That's really all I've got planned out. Other than that, whatever my creative whim at the current time is, that's it.
That could be very anxiety inducing for a partner. Do you know that your partner's comfortable with that? Is she like that is she similar to you in that way?
What do you mean? I'm shocked that would be anxiety inducing. So I'm trying to like rebalance on that.
Well,
And that would be anxiety inducing. First off, why?
Well, usually people like plans. They like to rely on a hope of like in 5 years we'll have this, in 10 years we'll have this, or we'll aim for this goal. If I start college, I assume I'll graduate. If we have kids, we'll assume we'll raise them. If we get together and move in, we'll assume we'll spend our life together. And so it's okay not to be a dreamer. I don't even identify as a dreamer myself. I identify as a goal setter and a goal completionist. So like I accomplish goals. But the goals are based off of fulfilling our joy. You're an adult. You can do whatever you want in life. And are you guys on the same page in terms of that, what you want to do with life?
This feels like a cultural difference that I'm running into in a hard
Could
way.
be.
I've never heard of this, like, where are we going to be in 5 years, 10 years? That's like business-ese for
Interesting.
psychopaths. That's like, to me, I think of that as like really unrelatable. But I'm I don't know. So I don't know if that's a way that she thinks at all. The main things that I know is that she wants to get to the bottom of her chronic illness. She wants to start working again. She's going back to school. She's going to grad school now to finish up her education. But outside of that, I mean, I know that we both don't want to have kids. I know that we both would prefer to. We're both sober. We don't want to do drugs or anything like that. So when I think of virtues, I think about stuff like that. I don't think about these like teleological things. This like, what's the ultimate end of our life? Where are we going? We've never talked about anything like retirement. We've definitely never talked about anything along the lines of like how old we expect ourselves to live. I don't know. Because obviously, I think one of the main things would be that I am extremely scared of death, and she has, perhaps in a rational way, and she has a very rational reason to not talk about health. She doesn't know whether or not it's around the corner. So it's one of those things where we are maybe able to answer this question right now, that me and her both don't think about that, but for different reasons. You know, I'm not of the mental persuasion, and she's not of the life experience that would lend her the opportunity to think about the future that way. So guess we're fine.
Tuna.
Yeah.
If I may, I have a pretty good idea of how you think about things. What's the timeline to where she's supposed to be moving in?
1.5 months, maybe 1 month.
So I would say that as a general rule of thumb, if you're going to be living with somebody, there are certain things that most people need to feel like the place that they're staying at is stable and secure for them, and that
We've
if
made
you're
the
going
list
to be
many times.
right, and if you do move in, like that's something that people are probably going to need in order to feel comfortable there. So some of maybe some of the things that she's and I don't know if this is true, but take a look at the list of things that need to get done. If those are the things, she might be feeling anxious that when she gets there, she's not going to have what she needs to feel safe and secure living there. And if that's the case,
so the reason I bring this up is because while I'm doing this construction and have been for multiple months, every time that she visits, that's the thing that gives her anxiety. She feels as if the process should be moving faster than it is. She's not there. She doesn't do any of the construction. She doesn't do any of the work. Not to even be rude to her. So she doesn't necessarily know, but she does feel every time that she gets a glimpse of the timeline that it feels like it's moving too slow for her sense of time.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're not doing enough. I'm just saying that if she's seeing the moving in date getting closer and closer, and the things that she's going to need, do you think it's because she's worried that things won't be taken care of by the time she gets there?
Me and her talk about this explicitly. Yes, yeah, for sure. I'm saying, what do I do to make sure that I know what I have to do now, which is get the fucking house done? Dumb motherfuckers the world round could answer that question. But in the grander sense of saying, and going back to what Brittany's saying, is this a suitable partner, or is this something where I need to lay down a foundation of principles that allows this relationship to be befitting? Like what should I be doing before she moves in, mentally, methodologically, discursively, to make it so that we don't 10 years from now have a resentful bitch wife and a husband hanging from a rope in the living room. There's like a definite severity that could happen if this becomes just a resentment loop. And it hasn't begun, but this is how my forward thinking works. I don't know where I'm going other than what might kill me, what might end my relationship, what might do XYZ. I'm trying to plan for the negatives. I'm trying to I feel like I'm ahead, so I have to focus on my lose conditions. If I can make an analogy that's easy for you.
I mean, to quote the Gottmans again, trust is the foundation of relationships. And it sounds like maybe there's like a lack of trust here because the expectations aren't being met. So it's like, how do you get expectations and trust to be symbiotic together, like actually work together? So she has to trust you to follow through as a person who's making promises. So you're not a liar, right? Because that's what you are when you break a promise or an expectation of behavior. And then at the same time, she has to also balance out her expectations with something that's more realistic. So if you're going to have sort of a chronically ill partner, which she is, or an ADHD partner, which you are, that's going to come with some sort of deficit in comparison to maybe a relationship that's sort of exhibited in media. And so is she relying on a image of media relationship, or is she actually accepting that this is the relationship she's signing up for? Are you guys actually signing up to work together? I'm trying to avoid saying team, but like, you know, you're working
Okay. Can
together.
you? I'm. Maybe this
A
is the way
partnership.
you would talk to a 3-year-old child. I'm asking you to talk to a Swedish retard, someone that doesn't know the language and also cannot possibly If you were to
Okay.
translate what you mean when you mean team, I don't want you to avoid using it. I want you to tell me what would an alien think of the term team as?
Have you
Because
ever like
it's
worked on a school project with somebody? You usually learn this in schools, like how to be on a team. You do sports? Did you chess club, D&D? Do you play
a
League?
relationship of mutual
Band.
interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you have to
Infinite
you have to
bands.
do something with somebody else to accomplish a goal.
I mean, the project that me and my girlfriend are working on is reducing the cost of living, maximizing the efficiency of day-to-day life, fucking
You
each
know,
other and having fun. It's really a simple relationship. I don't
Yeah.
have a long-term thing like that's an end condition. So it's hard for me to give you the answer of like team on that. I guess sports teams want to play in perpetuity until their
What about when you're in a
knees
band, Tuna?
bust. What about a band?
You've been in a band. If you're in a band and you're playing an instrument, you have a job to keep with the rest, right?
I'm the authoritarian in every creative project I'm in. And I'm mean and I try to hold back on it. But that's why I don't take that role in relationships generally, I would say, is because I know that I can't be trusted to be the dictocrat of a relationship. It wouldn't work out. I don't have the authority I don't have a justified authority. I could be a power player, but I could not have justified authority in that kind of I don't know what a band would look like without power.
Okay, minus her. She's not in this relationship. She's dead. Just you. Okay?
I have to make some calls.
How do you know that you are qualified enough to date someone and be a good husband, partner, whatever your gender is? Like, how do you, Tuna, decide I'm ready for a relationship? I'm prepared to be somebody's spouse or partner.
I want it.
Okay. I think you're probably settling and you're going to end up divorced or in a bad situation because
Why do
you
you
do
think
not know how she
settling?
thinks. You can't tell me how she thinks. You don't have shared values that you're exhibiting in conversation. You are either like autistically socially inept or you're functionally
Yeah, it's
ADHD
that.
socially inept. Or you're dating somebody who doesn't understand that, so you're not on the same page, and so you guys can't work in conjunction because you
I don't
aren't in
understand.
conjunction.
Okay, can we go down this
Yeah.
list here though? So we do have shared values. They're just not
is
the
it enough
things
to-
that you are thinking about or
It
have
has to be enough shared. The things you mentioned you have in a partnership, you could have with a sibling, a cousin, a best friend. The significance of sharing a life with a partner needs a little bit more. And so my concern is that you guys don't have enough to actually get you to that next step of like commitment for the long term. That's why marriages do end in divorce. It's very hard to maintain partnerships. So I'm looking for you to tell me that the goal of your partnership is something unique to it and not just something you could have with a roommate.
That's the thing though.
Mhm.
I don't think that you are normal.
No,
You think you're
Habibi.
normal, and this is fine. I don't want to. I will address just what I think is the clear thing, and you don't think you're normal either. I shouldn't say that you think you're normal. That's me putting words in your mouth. But there is a clear difference here between the types of people that write books about how to succeed inside of a marriage. I'm not a person who's ever been willing to get married to a person up until this point.
Okay, great.
Definitely not desired.
Okay.
This is not a person that. This is not a person that I'm using to fulfill a function role that I've been looking for. If you had to ask me, even I guess somewhere between a year and 2 years ago, whenever it was most recently, if I was looking for a wife, I'd say I'm looking for lead between my eyes more than I'm looking for a wife. I'm not suicidal, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like that sounds unthinkable that I would want to marry somebody, but with her, it's a unique case. We do talk about very deep things. We have very specific points of relation. I don't know what you mean when you say value if it's not where you're going in life, what you think is important, what you think is surrenderable, what do you think, what do you value, what does day-to-day life look like? I don't know what you could possibly mean outside of that.
There's a big problem here. There's like a big understanding gap when you talk about your internal experiences and the way that you view things. When most people hear it, like there's people asking if you're trolling, and I have to assure them no. So one, I can say that I've talked to Tuna about relationship stuff from this last one and in this one. This is something wholly unique. When he talked to me about how his relationship was going, I was like, oh my god, like, not to be weird, but like, are you in love? Like, he's like, yeah, and I didn't think. Tuna more saw relationship as like a duty kind of thing before, and now this is something for him too. Would you say that? Would you agree with that, Tuna?
More or less. I don't know if I'd say that.
Without being
I'd say that
hyper autistic
relationships
about
have
it.
been typically defined by duty. They aren't a duty, but they've been defined by duties, of course.
Yeah. I'd say this is something wholly unique. He found somebody who will go to the mall with him and exchange like philosophy essays with each other and read them. That's crazy huge for him. I would say that they are very romantically compatible. Tuna is always looking at a relationship into like, what's my role here? How do I do this? And I think that he's you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tuna. This is finally something that's like special and meaningful to him outside of like the context in which you would normally view a relationship. So he just doesn't want to do anything to mess it up. Like he's always like maximizing to avoid the downside. I think compatibility wise, that I'm pretty impressed from like all the additional information that I have. And it sounds like the advice you're looking for is how to not make things go sour.
Yeah, essentially, or like how to not. Yeah. I'm asking how to tend to a garden. I'm not asking how do I weed a garden. I feel like we are in a good spot, and we continuously decompress any of the conversations we have where there's a point of contention, and I am an active participant in making sure that communication happens in the way that it needs to. I'm a believer that every day, once a day, bare minimum, we should, as individuals, feel why we're in love with the other person, not just say I love you. Or if we're ever in a conflict, I'm not leaving a conflict until I fully understand and she fully understands that I care about the conflict and that it's not an oppositional relation. Like, it's not like a lot of relationships, which do seem to be a fight over resources, a fight over what the purpose of the relationship is. Are you sticking it in me, or are you putting a ring around it? It's like I understand that type of thing, but. And I think that those lack shared values, but it's almost as if we're having a standstill here, because it seems like you come from a frame of, I don't know if it's money, I don't know if it's location and culture, I don't know if it's temperament, but it's crazy to me that you think that you have ADHD, because you remember, or you can conceive of the concept of 5 years from now as anything more than the abstract concept of if you're alive or dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might not have it, but that's why I'm going to get assessed, right? I don't know if I have it.
Sure,
I'm not saying I have
true.
it, right? maybe we miscommunicated. When you came in here initially, maybe I misheard you. I thought you were saying that you do have a problem. She's getting upset because you're not getting things done.
No, she's uncomfortable. Like she'll come here, and so like right now, if I give you an example, there is a board with nails. I was right before this conversation, pulling off old trim. He wants to bring up the screw story. You can go fuck yourself. I walked with shoes that weren't thick enough on the bottom. Suffice it to say, I'm doing construction here. If she came in here right now and she saw the trim removed and she saw the line on the bottom where naturally something she might not even know, where the drywall doesn't perfectly meet the floor, then she's going to be thinking to herself that this is an unsafe environment. She's scared of dust. With her chronic illness, she has a lot of natural and reasonable fears because she doesn't really understand what's fucking her life up. And she tends to think that it's one thing, another thing, or the other thing. She has a nervous temperament that is not unique to me, but I'm trying to figure out how to make it so that it doesn't soil the thing that is good. Because as I go through this process, it's very obvious what I have to do here. I have to, over the next month and a half, get this process done to a satisfaction where things look like an Apple product. You don't know what's at the back of the thing. You engage with a nice soft UI, something that doesn't admit what a house is. It doesn't show its skeleton to any degree. Not that it's even that bad right now, but that's what she needs. I don't know abstractly what that temperament will mean going into the future as a person that has ADHD. My paranoia is an abstract one. Hers finds, molecular bits of information in the locale. I'm the person with the preoccupation more than her, in my opinion. I'm preoccupied with what her future preoccupations will be, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do to not be a nuisance, to not be to not ruin her life. I don't want to ruin her life. I want her marrying me to be a good decision. I want her to be on the grave saying, hey, well, it was worth it. Bare minimum, I want her to be able to say that. She might not be saying he was the king of all kings, but I at least want her to say, I don't regret it. And that's what I'm looking at in terms of the time blindness, in terms of like trying to figure out what our difference in temporal, psychotemporal reasoning is from two different perspectives. One from the guy who needs a green screen behind him so that you can't see the mess, and one from the person who lives in what can only be described as the most symmetrical home design magazine looking room of all time. I'm trying to address the tension as the sort of orphan which is experiencing the birth of these two spaces, these two mental.
Okay. One suggestion, maybe this will help then, because I want to be on the same page. I don't want to dismiss you or wish ill on your relationship. I'm just very blunt, and that's my own,
I didn't think you were
neurodivergency,
saying
right?
you're going to be divorced and you deserve it because you're a dumb bitch.
Right.
No,
like I'm just like I'm very like numbers games, but okay. One thing, and maybe this is a tool that I just think is magical in my relationship, is I tell this to my partner because he has ADHD, do not overpromise to me. Tell me exactly what you're capable of, or even downplay it a little bit. Because if I set an expectation in my mind and it's not done, it's going to feel like you lied to me and I'm going to feel like abandoned. Okay. So like, I need you to not overpromise. Is there a way you guys could have a conversation where she doesn't feel like, because she's coming in with a hope that something will be done. And I feel like maybe she has an expectation that's unfair. So maybe if you tell her, and maybe this is already happening, this is what I'm going to get done today, and anything else is a plus, it will allow her to come in with like, at least this thing got done, which will build up trust, because now I know, okay, he's capable of at least doing what he promised. And then everything else will happen in due time, because, neurodivergent partners take time. We're slow moving turtles. And so like, we need space to be very slow about things, which is why, there's a deviation in the expectation of behavior. So could that maybe help with the language? Is I don't want to overpromise to you. This is what I'm going to get done today, and anything else is a plus.
Let me check something.
Sure.
Hold on.
This is just to Brittany.
Hey, what's up?
So.
Yeah. If you want to do a run through, I'm gonna finish something up real quick, and then I'll go ahead and let you know. I'll be out back. Obviously, I'm gonna finish the thing up. So, cool. Yep, I'll head us in. But
Just
I have
just
to
for the
close
sake
soon,
of
as was heard. So
I had a very similar thought as you, Brittany.
Hmm.
You can tell me if there's any discrepancy in this. I think what might be really useful for you guys is if you both sit down and sort of give like an ideal timeline and then try to see how you can mesh that in a way that you can feel comfortable with. Because one of the key factors of ADHD is that if something's urgent, it'll get our attention. So if you have a deadline, like I know on Tuesday I have to have this thing done by then. Like Friday, Saturday, it's going to be in the background, but when Sunday and Monday come around, you're like, shit, I definitely have to get that taken care of. We did agree on this. This was a reasonable timeline when we made it out. That might be your best bet if this is just about solving this problem here. And this could be a tool that you could use in the future too if a similar thing comes up, is comparing schedules and then making a compromise schedule that you're both at least agreeing upon.
that makes sense to me. I'm going to ask you a question about Brittany's thing really quick. I'm going to address both of you both of your takes, and then I'll kind of just close it out because I got to do something in a little moment here. So for both of you, but I'm going to ask Drowsy something. How do you? I am an overpromiser. I think everybody with ADHD is, because whenever you are, I'm the Drowsy will make note of this. I'm the most present person that probably has ever existed. So I don't remember the past and I don't think of the future unless the current moment is about the past or about the future. It is a commemoration or a planning event. The second that a planner goes away, I forget that I own a planner. I have a planner, but I forget that I own a planner. The second that I've had a creative idea, if I don't write it down, it's essentially an orphan starving inside of a pool until the nuns come and pick it up. But there are no nuns. It's just me. So I tend to be a person who, when the thing needs to be done, tell me then. I've said multiple times, tell me what you want me to do when you want me to do it. That's my counter, is like, you want me to do something? I've always preferred the role of a runner at work, because as much as time management is a thing that I actually am good at, it is eviscerating of the soul. I end every day absolutely exhausted whenever I've had jobs that are about that, as opposed to jobs which are about putting out fires. When I have something that I have promised to her, number one, I'll just try and reduce promises, although I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that, because the natural dynamic is that me with ADHD, I'm going to instill in her a communication style of urgency in order for me to take it seriously, which is then going to make me promise, because I feel like I have to promise the thing, yada, yada. She becomes the nag, I become the failure. It's the pattern everyone knows. The question is, how do I actually remember a promise that I've made? How do you keep track of that and know that you're going to keep track of it? Do it just like, am I going to have to do memento style tattoos on my neck? What do you do, Drowsy? That's the question. This is directed at you.
Is Game Changer. There's different apps, and I can send you a link for the one that I have. It's sort of like a reminder / to-do list calendar thing, and it'll go off. You can tell it when you want it to remind you and all that. It has been huge for me because you're right about having ADHD. If the thing isn't having to get done right now, it doesn't exist. It's just gone. So having something to remind you, and sometimes I'll know that if I get reminded of something that I normally go, all right, well, I have 6 days, it's not a big deal. But if I'm reminded of it, then I'll start on it, then get distracted and go and do something else. So if I have several reminders leading up to something that's going to take a considerable amount of work, several reminders is a really good way to do it. And I'd even say, if you are going to have like a meeting of schedules and you come up with that one, have it with your phone planner app open and be inputting all the things that you have agreed upon that should be done by a certain day into there with the reminders set up in a way that you think is going to work. It's going to take a little trial and error, but that has been nothing in my whole life, all the therapist, teacher meetings, all that has ever compared to making me productive on what I have to do to that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to figure it out. She's obsessed with Notion. That app is fucking cancer to me. The UI, my God. I'll have to figure out something. I do think that it's going to come down to tools. I set myself alarms. The alarms on the phone work, but they have to be like regular and in order to notate them properly. The reminders don't behave the same way. I only recently figured out you can turn off notification from apps. So now my phone pretty much only vibrates when it's something important, which is kind of dope. It's made it easier to take it seriously. Okay. Get the concept on that one. So try stop over promising. Try and in terms of remembering the promise, the easiest way will be that. I think she's a list maker. The second a list is always an obituary to me. That's the mental faculty that a list does. Once you put things inside of an array, it creates a consolidation, a rest, because the thing that is actually emotionally compelling that motivates me to action is the fact that I might forget it. So if I write it down, that's actually the thing that makes me not want to do the thing. It demotivates me. I pretty much exclusively run off of the fear of forgetting and it falling into the wayside. Is there anything?
Do you know why?
Have either of you ever had a trick other than writing something into a list? Because that's the only hesitation I have with Brittany's idea of write a list of things to do at the start per day, is that the list is going to make me think that it's not that big a deal.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So the reminders versus if you have ADHD, when you write down a list, you're thinking about the task while you're writing it. I've noticed that when you think about a task like that, you sort of trick your brain into thinking you've done it. Like you go through you visualize all the things that go in with it, and then it's almost like you've done it. But the reminders and stuff, it's a way it seems to function a lot differently. Sorry, go ahead, Brittany.
Oh, well, I will say that, again, not a therapist, just a person. But like ADHD also tends to have like oppositional relation issues. So like PDA is often associated with autism, but like ADHD has its own variation of that, where you will feel like you don't want to do it because you feel like you have to do it. And so it's kind of like you're fighting your psychology. So a part of me relies heavily on values, like morals. Like I am morally obligated to fulfill this thing because I have committed my life to someone and this lifestyle. And that's why I use the analogy of like a team, because that's how my parents in the religious community, you're a team. So like the idea is that you have to do you follow sports? Like you got a quarterback if you're the quarterback. If the quarterback doesn't quarterback, like, okay, I'm too gay for that too. But like, if someone doesn't do what they're supposed to do, something goes wrong. So the idea is like, well, I'm an adult, so I've chosen this position and I will be good at this position. I feel like that's really helpful. If the lists aren't going to work, it's a matter of morals. And if you don't have that, if that's not a part of your moral compass, then you might actually have again, I don't want to put a sacredness on like partnership, but there's sort of a preparedness that a person goes through in life to prepare them to be that partner for people, someone they could rely on in a particular way. And I think that comes from morals. That comes from like a place of a construct, right? It's all made up. So the idea is like, if you guys are making up this amazing relationship together, how do you make it so it works? And that's going to be based
my
off
moral
of,
imperative is to not ruin her life.
I don't think that's good enough. I think it has to exist outside of her. It has to be coming from you. You can't do things for other people. It should come from your values about how you treat people. Does that kind of make sense?
I think that's the same for tuna.
Is
I think
it?
that would be synonymous.
I'm having difficulty understanding the differentiation.
One is internal motivation and one is external. Do you know if you're internally motivated or externally motivated?
How would I know?
I would recommend introspection tools. So like you would ask yourself why as things come up. Why do I do that? Why does that motivate me this way?
What's the name of that disposition inside of the Sky lexicon? The Pisces, or whichever one of those it is, which is the one that can see all perspectives simultaneously and feels no tether to any of them. That's my natural disposition. Whenever I go into introspection, I bear witness to a multiplicity of factors, of which none reigns supreme. I'm not going to be able to tell you. It's a more holistic relation. I don't know whether or not there is a difference between internal and external, more monistic in my thought, maybe. You only exist because I'm experiencing phenomena of you, and I only exist as a concept. Like you only exist in my brain as a concept being in. You exist materially, probably. I don't care about that woo-woo part of it or the metaphysics of it. But the whole point is like, so by virtue of that, everything I know about you is actually a reflection of things about me. Everything that you know about me is going to be reflections of things about you. Sameness, difference. Like you said, there's an obstinacy that is probably present in things having to be done. I don't even necessarily think of the moment that I start to do it as me trying to satisfy a moral imperative, as much as I'm like, oh shit, it's electrochemical. It's not it's like speed going through the vein of a junkie. It suddenly comes to bear. But I don't think that's, would you call that internally motivated?
Tuna, when you look inwards,
Or
you find a
externally?
manual. You find a manual with clearly defined labels and rules, and if it's not in there, then you go, what the fuck? When Brittany says introspect, she's talking about feeling feelings and assessing situations based on how you feel and what you know, and trying to make sense of these things and figure out how it's affecting you and what you want to do about it. For you, you have a manual. This is such a weird clash of
Yeah, I don't
worlds
know how to
here.
do the thing that if the thing that he said about you is true, I don't know how to do that. When I feel a feeling, it gives me no revelatory divine quality. I don't know what the feeling is. I don't have affect memory. I don't remember what it felt like in the past. All I know is what I can parse about through my unconscious motives presenting themselves via parapraxis. That's the closest I can get to that divination via animal. I don't know how to do the thing where you feel the feeling and you're like, this is sorrow. I don't know what it is.
I think that's really, that's a very good form of introspection. So you just introspected enough to know that about yourself. What I would recommend is communicate that to her and make sure she's okay with consenting to a relationship with that.
Oh,
and
she
then
knows.
go from there.
She knows. That's very easy.
But does she know it, or is she living for your potential? Hence the anxiety when she sees things not getting done. Does she know it?
She is not living for my potential.
Okay.
In many ways, I think that she essentially, if I had to think about if I had to guess from her actions, I would say that she, whether or not she knows it or not, thinks of herself as being the breadwinner, and me being the secondary breadwinner if she fails to her illness.
Okay.
She is the girl boss type. She was on a PhD until her disease made it. Put them down, man. Sorry, it's just too funny to me to say. He lives in a different place than he did before. He used to be able to lock him up, so this was an easier joke back now. Now there's nothing he can do but mute, so it's not even funny. But it's so funny to me. So I do think that the conversation is laid bare, but we'll keep having it.
Yeah.
She doesn't think of me as a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. She's the temporary embarrassed millionaire between the two of us.
I love
I'm
that.
from
Actually, is she gonna watch this back?
She might, maybe.
Because that might be cool, like to watch it back and have a conversation about that using a tool of like actual like data. If you guys are data people, that might be cool.
She has
spreadsheets
on spreadsheets.
Love that.
I'm not even saying that to be mean. I literally have spreadsheets.
She's perfect for you. My God.
We are. So, but anyway, I gotta bounce. Thanks for the talk. We're doomed. I'll invite you to the divorce.
I don't know how much time you have. We do have 2 other callers.
I have time, but can I pee first?
Yeah, you may pee.
Okay. I will mute me, but I'll keep you up on my stream. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, I'll be right back.
The 2 of you that are in the waiting room, I'm gonna pull you in when she comes back. I appreciate your patience. I'm gonna go in the order in which you guys came in. So that's, I think Tuna's a particularly difficult person to give advice for because a lot of things are just the way that he views things and the way that he interacts with his emotions and the emotions of other people is pretty unique. Oh, I'm sorry, Katie. Uh, I don't think that this isn't really the show where people can call in to talk to like the callers. This is Brittany and I giving relationship advice. That's what I thought you wanted to call in for. I'm sorry. Most people require unique, tailored advice. I agree that getting information about their situations and tailoring the advice to that is generally going to be the thing. However, I would say that Tuna more so. He just has a very unique outlook. He has a very unique lens which he views the world. Tuna gave me help me. I don't want help vibes. Yeah, it's tough. Tuna was on Wick yesterday. You're gonna have to bite that bullet. Wait, what bullet? Also, I don't know what Wick's thing was yesterday. I haven't streamed a lot lately. I've just had a lot going on. Like right now, my wife's in the hospital. She'll be out soon. She's okay. Um, just everything in the last like couple weeks have been just not the best, but we're working through it. I just haven't had the mental capacity to stream. This was scheduled out in advance, and I'm really glad that it's happening today. But wife. Oh, okay. Then call in next time. I might. Um, yeah, actually this morning I wanted to bring her some clothes and stuff, but so another thing went wrong. My it was like pouring down rain, and I think I have a weird electrical thing with my vehicle. It wouldn't start up with all the rain, so it's drying up. After this, I'm gonna go take her clothes and stuff. You can talk to Tuna then, Katie. Thank you, Mantis. I appreciate it. My impression of Tuna, right or wrong, is that he's word salad with dressing a performative ego. He just loves to listen to his voice. Tuna's just very verbose, I think. Oh, Brittany's back.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Chat. Tell me you can hear me. I just like feel like a boomer, and I feel like I've probably muted myself because I had to unmute myself in 2 different places. So make sure you tell me if you can hear me.
Do you have a stream deck?
What's that?
It's mine's unplugged right now because my life is just utter chaos, which I just got done telling my chat about. Let's see here. It's this thing. It's not plugged in, but it's normally lit up with like individually set icons, and so I can actually press one button that will mute OBS and Discord, and then one to unmute them individually. And I customized all the buttons so like I can just glance them and I know exactly what they are. It has a little stand so it sits upright.
Cool.
You can also use it for like camera zooms, sound effects, basically everything you could possibly want to do on a stream. Like if
Yo.
I know you don't, I don't think you do games, but like it has just to the point to where like you can set up a thing through its own app too. Like if you wanted to have like a death counter on a video game, every time you die, you just hit a button and it'll add to it. So all kinds of stuff like that.
Amazon, where'd you get it?
Yeah, you can get them on Amazon. They're like the good ones, like $120. This
I gotta get me one of them.
For the amount that you stream, not having this is crazy.
That's crazy. I'm using OBS like a little boomer and going slowly and doing everything. No, I need one of those. Okay, I'll put it on my list.
That's why you've heard me clear my throat so much. I have GERD because I'm overweight. I guess I've always had acid problems, but
Sure.
so usually I just hit the button to mute myself so nobody has to hear me clear my throat 100 times. Mine's unplugged
I'm always
right
muting
now.
myself. I'm muting myself and I forget to unmute myself. So I'll go on a rant for 5 minutes and then my chat's like Brittany and I'm like,
There's
my bad.
at
We call
least
it Boomer
3
Brittany.
people in my chat that screamed when you said that. I have people that tell me all the time, you're muted, because my dogs will bark or I'll mute myself to like clear my throat,
Yep.
and then I'll just
Yep.
start talking.
Yep, my life.
It just if you mute yourself so much, it just happens.
Yeah, it's authentic. It's cute. You guys know I'm real. You guys know this is for real. Just a person running a show, one person.
Hopefully you feel a little bit more seen knowing that you're not the only person with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, somebody said I extracted nothing of value from what he said and made me question if I have ADHD. I just want to say, never listen to somebody else talk about their mental illness and speculate if you have it. If you're worried, just talk to a doctor. I think
Everyone's different. ADHD is different for everybody.
Yeah, that's brain poison.
Yeah.
thinking of mental illness because what people online say. So we do have another person. Do you want to take this call? The other person,
I'm
they
ready.
wanted to call in to talk to Tuna. I said that's not really the
Oh.
kind of show this is.
Yeah.
All right, this is I've seen him in chat at
Hey.
least. Hey, let me see. Let me turn you up a bit.
All right. I could be louder, but I don't need to be louder. I got a camera too.
Oh, okay, I do know you. I was like, I know the name for sure.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Tuna's fun. It's not. It's I will be honest. I have not talked a lot about it, but I have communicated in not so subtle hints to Twitch that and YouTube that I am divorced, and I don't know if I call my current relationship a rebound because I did wait 3 or 4 months before like getting on the apps, but I kind of fell into a interesting, like, kind of different relationship. So my girlfriend is like 19 years younger than me. And so there is all that on top of what we're talking about. Important context. And at the same time, I'm still very bitter and black-pilled about everything. And I'm reconciling what I'm contributing to my current relationship and like the, mentorship, the helping her out with school, the helping her, be an adult. And so maybe this is part of the unhealthiness of age gaps in general, of course. But I'm doing my best. I'm, campsite rule and all that. And sort of, but I also am incredibly, incredibly hesitant to be very committed. So that's where I'm at. And you can unpack that, or we can, like, I don't know, goof on Tuna getting a divorce in 10 years.
I don't want to goof on Tuna.
I know
I would
he's
say
but Tuna. I was where you were at 15 years ago. Just all the love.
I just, for me, I think we probably need to unpack at least a bit. Do you need that as well,
Yeah.
Brittany?
Yeah, I definitely.
All right.
I have a particular question to ask, but I don't want it to come off insensitive because I feel like you came to us like pretty open and vulnerable, and so like I don't want it to come off offensive. But I've seen you in other. We've been on panel or like not panels, but you've called in
Yeah.
when I'm there, and you're usually very happy, and you're not so happy today. Is that a reflection of the relationship, or is that
No.
just
No,
it's just coincidental?
I started a new job in the last few months, and I've been working really hard, and I've got a lot to done. I haven't seen my girlfriend because her family is visiting, and so she's got the school family pressure combo going on. But so my mood is usually performance, and I'm coming to you more au naturel today.
Okay, vibes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the love of your life?
No. Well, she's very supportive, and I'm very happy with her. And I don't know, like I knew when I started mourning my previous relationship, and I don't think I will be able to trust anyone after what happened there for a very long time. And so love is kind of a strange question to process right now. I love everybody, but also I feel vulnerable to everybody.
I want to ask like foundational questions. So all answers are good answers. What is the purpose of companionship to you? For you?
Stability in my greater social circles and being happy with the people around me, having fun, being able to support and nurture someone, being able to feel supported and nurtured.
I just want to ask a modified question, and it's an uncomfortable question, so
Yeah.
I apologize. How much of you pretty far out from what I would say is like rebound time frame, but the important question is how much of you seeking out and then starting to date this person do you think was to stave off like a loneliness?
Initially, yeah, it was I was feeling pretty lonely at the time, but it was also sort of adapting to being alone. And I had adapted pretty much to being alone, but I was like, okay, now is the time. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to start talking to more people. I'm going to, hit the apps, hit the social circles, find someone who is, get introduced to people is sort of the objective. And it, the mutuals came in for me. So, I mean, it worked out. It was sort of a deliberate decision that, hey, I am no longer a sad sack and no longer wallowing in my own misery. And so it feels like I should feel what it feels like to be with someone again. And I should look for, do I want to do this? Do I want to feel happy and fulfilled in a relationship? And I think I'm getting that. It's just it's just the long-term processing of the, a 20 plus year marriage.
Oh,
Did you do you see your ex as like one of the like loves of your life, or do you see that as like a deviation in the ideal plan and like a mistake?
No, we really had a long-term mutually supportive relationship that just like evaporated out from under me. So yeah.
Out from, and obviously don't answer anything you don't want to answer.
Sure.
Did it evaporate from underneath you or underneath you both?
Me.
You. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, the whole COVID era hit a lot of people. And I have seen this pattern over and over. Like people came out of COVID as a married couple, they came out of it with a kid or with a divorce in my experience. And so I was in that latter camp.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know, and this is like my work is centered around philosophy of the consciousness. So like I'm not asking you, like I'm not trying to moralize your life, and I'm certainly not trying to make a prescription or be a therapist. I'm trying to figure out, like, I think what I learned from those couples that did come out with a divorce in COVID is they discovered things about themselves or their partner that deviated from the plan. So maybe your ex discovered something about themselves and it impacted the union. Maybe you discovered something about them that deviated. So what did you discover about yourself?
After my ex discovered something about herself, I discovered I'm probably all right being alone for a while. I'm probably I'm ready to process what's happened and actively move to improve myself, improve my life, and not be in a toxic codependent relationship. And so I was feeling like betrayed, and then a little bit of spiteful, and then I'm like, okay, what's my need right now? What do I need from my career? What do I need to be happy? I'm done supporting whatever she's into at this moment, because you break the covenant, you break the trust, and I don't owe you anything now.
I'm going to use this word, and in my community where it's not like an offensive word, but it might be offensive to some people's brains. So just like, okay. Do you feel like in your long-term relationship, in your marriage, you were settling?
No, not really.
Okay.
And it might be, in terms of appearances and traditional couples, maybe, but I thought we were very simpatico in terms of our goals, intellectually, emotionally. We really clicked for a long time, and it was the years wear on and life changes.
So that's, I'm assuming, why it was so devastating, because you genuinely were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. I think that would be like really soul crushing. With your
So how?
Mhm.
Oh, I guess I know. Here's the memes. How do I stop from going 100% homath red pill and being purely transactional about every relationship ever from now on? Sorry,
If I
I'll
may,
demask it in a
uh,
moment.
I I've seen enough of you, and based on how you're talking, I don't. I think that's a real worry to have. But you don't seem like the kind of guy to do that. I think that unless you're choosing to completely shut yourself off from experiencing love, I think that it's just you have to heal. It's going to take some time. It doesn't seem like you're fighting it. You're just scared. I think a lot of the stuff that you're talking about sounds like fear, and you have to understand that you're hurt. Everything that you just said, it hurts to hear it. And I genuinely hope that you're talking to a professional about your emotional pain, because I can tell you this: there's no amount of just sitting there and just trying, like, going over things over and over again in your head, that's going to make you come out of that feeling better about it. Certainly, it's good to look inside and think about how you feel, but I think you really need to talk to somebody about the pain that you went through to help you with it. If you're worried that you might not ever be able to feel love again, you that would imply to me that you're having a very difficult time processing what you went through.
Yeah.
And I think that it's good for your current relationship if you do that. Which isn't to say that you can't have a good relationship with her while you're going through that. But I think that when you're involving other people, you have a little bit of a responsibility to at least be trying to work through that stuff in the way that's best for you.
I'll definitely do that.
Okay, so I think most people settle. And I think most people settle in a sense that when they end up with a partner that's incredibly compatible, tell me if you're okay. Would you like me to stop talking?
I'm good. Keep going.
Okay. When you end up with a partner that's super, super compatible, it's like a deep compatibility, but life does happen and people deviate and things sometimes go in different directions. So I don't think it's wrong to be temporarily transactional. I think it's wrong to lead people on and break consent. So being temporarily transactional, I would argue, is what dating is until you find the person anyways. So I would argue, instead of going red pill with it, we should go enjoying life with it. But also, like Eldorazi said, like, this might also be a mental health thing on top of the philosophy thing, because I think those things overlap, but they're not exactly the same, right? So I would say, like, make sure our mental health is where it needs to be, and then make sure our understanding of what we want from life is where it needs to be. But realistically, like, dating is transactional until you meet the love of your life, and then it becomes something different. So, like, instead of going red pill, or instead of going trad wife, or instead of going choose the lifestyle that makes sense for you and your morals and your values. But I would say, like, as long as you're not leading people on,
Yeah.
it's just dating.
Yeah, and I'm doing my like, when I started with my partner, knowing that she's much younger than me, I'm like, okay, I can give you this timeline for staying exclusive, and I actively don't want to commit to anything other than that timeline. And we can re-up, we can check in, but we need to be on this footing, because that's the only thing that's fair to both of us.
That's a pretty mature thing to like put out there. Although you said something in the beginning that might be a little bit concerning. You said that you can help her with schooling. What exactly does that mean?
She's in graduate school because, and here's the DGG lore, she is a foreign student working in the career that I have a lot of experience in. And so I'm literally like professional mentor to her at this point.
Okay, you're not paying for her schooling, correct?
No, but I'm oh
Okay.
God, that is so much a part of my boundary system right now. Like I'm like, I'm generous with when it comes to like meals and stuff like that, but I'm
That's
like,
fine.
if if your parents cut you off from school, I can't be in that position.
Cool. That would have been a
Good.
really big concern if there was like a huge financial tie in the relationship. That'd be really bad for you and obviously really bad for her. That's really good then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I had a similar question. Next question is going to sound also along the lines, but also like might be offensive. But like, is she in the relationship you have with her does it feel really good to have somebody to help? Is this like kind of because I see in age gap relationships of this kind of technically like a feeling of like, I'm helping them with their life. So you're kind of playing a mentor parent role mixed in with a sexual partner. Is there a little bit of that in that?
There's a little bit, but also she is filling the role of parent because I have a child and they get along great, and she is a part of this greater social familial structure.
Okay.
And so it's like we're getting we're both getting a lot out of this relationship, I think.
Okay. And since I like the re-up, by the way, I love the checking in. I love negotiating for a certain amount of time and coming back and checking. Like I'm all about negotiations. I think negotiations are beautiful because you do them out of love. And negotiations, though they sound cold and contractual, are actually just you saying, I really want to know how you're feeling. I want to
Right.
negotiate how you're feeling and how to make that work for us. So I really like that you guys do that. So really realistically, like what do you think the actual dilemma you're having is?
I'm, it's sort of like Tuna might be afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of not being alone and being like, I, it feels too soon for me to be so committed to someone again.
Mm.
And, it is fear. It is fear and hesitation of commitment at this point.
You realize
Yeah.
that you sought it out for a reason though, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm like, okay, I'm ready to enjoy life now. I'm over 40. I'm not going to get any younger, and so this is like this is it.
When you say enjoy life, do you mean like sleep around or I'm trying
Right,
to figure out
right.
what
No,
the
I have not dated that many people. Maybe I don't know if it's um I'm not picky enough. I don't have the self defense to weed out more people, or if I'm just not not at my level. If I'm just taking all comers instead of being more choosy, it is like I'm just nervous and weird about it at this point.
you did set up the timeline to re-up and all that. Now, in all fairness, uh people can agree to things like that and have other ideas in mind, but as long as
Right.
you're worried about you and the boundaries that you set up for yourself, um I think that you're not going about it in the worst way. It seems like a really mature thing that I wouldn't expect most people to be able to do. But if you really think that that's how you can operate, I'd have a hard time saying that that's the worst idea in the world. But uh, I'm assuming that you're smart enough to know that there would be likely a fallout if you're the only one who doesn't want to re up in that.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
and I would hope that you would be prepared for that if that is the case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and that's part of being very like every day I wear something that indicates this. Like the dating ring stuff.
No.
The okay, so there's these green and pink rings that you can get from this site where they like charge you an outrageous amount of money, and it's sort of to indicate to someone that you want to be approached. Like
Okay.
the black ring on your left finger is you're a swinger. These are,
Mm-hmm.
other color silicone rings that I wear that mean I want people to approach me. And this is sort of my signal that, hey, we are still in this position where I'm not exclusive. I'm not comfortable being exclusive. We should feel open to bringing other people into the relationship because I am not going to outlive you. And that's like a big practical part of the relationship at this point. So, yeah.
Now, I'm sure I'm going to get shit from this for somebody, but have you considered being polyamorous?
No.
I'm asking if he's considered. It sounds like
Yeah.
he's almost
no,
LARPing it.
I'm there. I'm there. I'm like, it's just a matter of time, networking, references, and meeting the right people. But
Wait,
yes,
polyamory or
I'm not
open
po-
relationships?
listen, I'm
'Cause
not even
polyamory.
no, intentional, consensual,
But look, that's open.
larger
That's what open
relationships.
is. Polyamory
Okay.
in my bubble, when I practice it, when I read all the books, is multiple intimate relationships at the same time that are of the same value as like I'm marrying multiple people.
But they don't
Versus
always have to be the same value.
I know that, but I'm saying like because when I hear polyamory, I'm assuming you're saying we're gonna live a life together with multiple people versus open is just like we're gonna have short-term fun relationships that go in a certain way. Polyamory means many loves.
Correct.
Open is supposed to distinguish.
But I have experienced through friendships these social circles and how these things work. And so yes, I know like it's not, cash on the table swingers parties.
Right.
It is we're in a relationship and we are looking for other people to join us once in a while and maybe join us for a much longer time. And that is intentionally where I'm headed.
So are
Okay,
you
wait,
saying
hold
that
on.
you're seeking a triad?
No.
I
He's
don't
not
know.
seeking
I don't know.
anything.
I'm
'Cause
just trying to
earlier-
understand.
Yeah, but earlier you said you weren't ready. You wanted to sleep around. What does that have to do with polyamory? If you don't want one relationship, why do you want 5?
I just want to have fun. I want to
So
live
that you
my
don't
life.
want polyamory.
I want to be happy and fulfilled in all of my relationships. Maybe that includes a few
Sure.
short-term relationships.
Sure. Okay. So I always say this is like a philosophy issue with people because people want a lot of things, but wanting
Right.
things isn't the point usually. It's what you need, what will lend you to your joy. So like for me, definitions matter only in certain circumstances because you're trying to communicate something to someone. So if you came to me and said, Brittany, I really want to be poly with you, that would communicate a long-term wiping each other's butts during Alzheimer's status relationship. Right.
Yeah.
But if you said, oh, Brittany, I want to be open relationship with you, I'd be like, oh, cool. So we're like casual, but we're fun, but we're dating, but we're romantic. Let's negotiate it. So
And
words matter to me. Right.
Yes, but that's contextual based on who I'm talking to. If
Yes,
I'm
it is.
talking to
I
my
agree.
partner and I say, yeah, I think we should be poly, and I'm going to a poly party and saying, hey, I think we're ready to try being open now. Do you want to join us tonight? And that's the context.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Like, know the bubble, know the wording. Everyone uses words differently for sure. I also want to say, like, I feel like life, we're all on a train. Like, our life is a train, and we're either inside the train, in the back of the train, driving the train, on the outside of the train. And I need to know where you are in relation to your train. Are you watching your train?
Of
Are you on
life?
top? Yes, but the train is you.
I am right in front. Like I got a new job. I'm going to speak at a conference this weekend. I am in control of everything around me, with the except of my ex, which is the caboose that I'm trying to cut loose.
Sure. Okay. So when I say this, when I say I want you to be in the front of your train, it means you shouldn't be calling us with problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're driving your train, it means you've got the control of your life. So why is anything out of control? And what happened to you being in control of it? Are you trying to control something that isn't you? Because you can only control you. Are you deviating from your morals? Like where do you think the deviation is?
I'm not sure. I think that you've helped me identify that I'm still processing.
Sure.
And that is me. And that is finding what I need to get hold on. When it comes to, everything external.
Yeah.
I'm in that driver's seat.
Okay.
But maybe it's like my analytical brain is driving that more than my emotional brain.
So like you're driving the train, but you're not quite sure which route you're going to take, but you know that you're going to have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from everything that you said, it seems like you know what you want, and you're doing what you want, but you're just everything that you've said seems good except for the pain that you have from the relationship that you have recently ended. And I really hope that I hope that dealing with that's a priority for you because that stuff doesn't go away on its own.
Yeah.
And of course, it might impact, right? You might make different decisions if you don't have that burden, because often we do make decisions because of the baggage we're carrying, right? And so we want you to make like the best decision towards your joy, your ultimate joy, not your like happiness, not your wants, but like your
Right.
ultimate joy, right?
And you seem
Yeah.
like the kind of
No,
person
thank
too
you.
that you don't want to hurt anybody because you've made decisions based off of like pain avoidance or sort of having vision clouded from pain.
Right.
You seem like a really nice guy. Every time I've seen you, like Brittany said,
Thanks.
you're usually happy and cheerful. And I obviously understand why it's not the case after you said it's usually performative. But yeah, I think that and even when you talk to, it seems like you have a lot of care for other people. So whatever you got to use, if it's care for yourself or care for other people, use that to motivate yourself to heal. Because I think you deserve to.
No, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Brittany?
I really believe that time heals all wounds, and I think it'd be really nice to be kind to yourself during that like healing process. I feel like that'd be really nice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else, Soyato?
No, and in fact, it's time to head out to exchange pretty soon. So here's what's happening, right?
Right. Just as a goodbye, I want to say thank you very much for being open and vulnerable with us. It was nice. And if you
Yeah.
if you ever need to vent or anything like that about any of this, you can. I've known you enough to where I don't mind you shoot me a DM. If it was just the random person, I wouldn't say that. But feel free, buddy.
Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
Yep. You too. See ya.
That was cool. That was very much what I had hoped that we would be able to talk to somebody dealing with something that was a big burden.
Can I ask you an ethical question that is going to seem counterintuitive to like what we're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it's inappropriate that people are sharing their vulnerabilities with us on the internet instead of their therapists or their priests or their mothers?
I think if they were already doing that, they wouldn't call in. Well, or
True.
that they were getting bad advice. So here's the thing. Obviously, I guess I don't know how much you know about me. I'm a huge Mr. Girl fan. And I think that sometimes he goes a bit overboard with his. Let me put it this way: I don't always agree with where he draws the line for himself ethics wise. He had an advice show where he stopped doing because somebody said people call in and then they think this is therapy, even though he ended
Right.
almost everyone with "you should go to therapy." And if you can tell, I've only talked to the last caller about going to therapy. I think that if people want to call into something like this, it's probably going to be the case that they're not getting this or they don't feel comfortable getting this kind of advice from those kinds of people. And so having some advice from well-intentioned people, like I trust myself to have good intentions, is going to be, and obviously if I have a guest, I trust you to have good intentions as well.
For sure.
Then I think this is going to be significantly better than them being too nervous to reach out to anybody at all.
No, for sure. Okay, let me ask it in a different way because that is not exactly the question I'm asking because that's a question I get a lot. Like, are you doing therapy? No, nobody knows what therapy is. That's what I've realized. Nobody knows what actual therapy is because it is nothing like this. Talking about your feelings is not therapy. Like, I don't know what kind of therapy y'all went to, but my therapy was not talking about my feelings, okay? It was talking about my trauma in like a very specific dismantling way. Let me ask it this way. Do you think that what happens between you and your partner in terms of relationship stuff should stay private between you and your partner?
I think that is an agreement that you guys can make, and that if you call in and share something that is inappropriate for you to have shared, that's something that's on you, that you're doing something wrong. Simply having an avenue by talking, like, it doesn't have to be online for it to be wrong. So this is just something that people have to manage for themselves.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And to what you said about therapy, I I kind of agreed to the point where I thought it'd be really funny to have a show that was just called Therapy, where people could call in and talk about their
Like
problems.
Gecko
And I
therapy?
would just literally act as my very best uneducated version of a therapist, just to sort of like drive home this like conversation people are having about what is or isn't. Because like
Yeah.
you can't do anything to me. I'm just a person. I'm not a therapist, so like I'm not breaking any like legal ethical lines or anything like that.
Sure, sure,
Uh,
sure.
so
And I should
thought
say
that would be a
accredited
funny thing to
therapist.
do.
I just learned recently, like people can call themselves therapists who aren't like a medical therapist, like who don't have a board to answer to or don't have like a degree. And so like bubble pops all the time. Okay, I'm bubble popping all the time. I'm like, holy fuck. So like when I say a therapist, I mean like someone who works and specializes in mental health, not a holistic therapist, which is also great, but is not what I'm talking about, right? Because like that's I believe in all kinds of therapy as long as it works, right? I just like when I say therapist, because it's really frustrating for me when you build your whole career, you love your job, you love what you do, and then people don't get what you do, and you're like, I'm just a YouTuber. They're like, that's not good enough. I'm like, okay. So it's kind of frustrating. But one of the things I realized is like I wouldn't call into a show about my relationship unless it was making content about it and like trying to get views or something. But even then, my husband and I have a very strict rule about what I can talk about because
Oh.
ultimately we want to have a private relationship. That's a decision we've made as a unit. I've been open before and I've had my partners on my streams before, and honestly, it just like didn't end up well for my relationships. I think it contributed probably not the greatest energy to them. But this relationship's pretty private. But then I have to ask myself, like, is there an ethical implication to people seeking out advice from YouTubers about very serious things? Or maybe the advice should be, this is a little bit above our pay grade. I really recommend seeking out a more organized way of understanding the self. Like even with Tuna, I've never seen him like that. Today is weird. I'm seeing people in moods I've never seen them in. Right?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Just Tuna, I laughed a lot when things were being said that were not funny just because I know Tuna so well. I've spent probably over 100 hours talking to Tuna and VCs. We've met in real life. And there's just a huge curve in understanding how he views social interactions and relationships, which is why I almost felt rude to you when when I would butt in and say certain things. But I just know him so well. And it took me a very long time in order to be able to give him, because like I've given him advice on his old relationship. This one he's had pretty like very few questions, if any. But being able to get through some of the like super basic, almost nobody would be confused about these things that happen in relationships, to be able to communicate those to them. I spent like several hours, and that was part of learning how to communicate with Tuna. So like I said, when you say introspection, there's a thing that you mean. For Tuna, it's pulling out the manual that's inside his soul. His soul just has a manual that he goes through, goes, now I know, and he puts it back. And if it's not in there, he goes, I have no fucking clue how to deal with this. It's not in the manual. So he has to ask somebody else, like, what does your manual say? Like, well, bud, I don't have a manual, but let me try to talk to you about this in a way that reads like the manual.
Has he ever considered autism? Like in the nicest way.
So
I'm also going for my assessment of autism too, so I get it. Like
he's very public about it. Tuna has had a significant, very high amount of abuse when he was younger. He's public about it. I'm not sharing anything that he hasn't said.
Okay.
And so I think it's just informed the way that he has decided to, the way that he has had to interpret the world around him, and which ends up being very mechanical, very much black and white notes on the paper. Feeling things just doesn't serve you in that situation, but making sense of things in an analytical way and being pain adverse is the best way to cope with that for some people. And I just think that that's kind of where he's at.
Okay, well, that's like therapy stuff. Then that could be a lot of things: borderline trauma, CPTSD. Okay. So that's like something.
So like at least that's my interpretation and how I've used it to communicate with him about some of these harder things. Somebody asked me a question for you.
Yeah.
When you asked if about people sharing things, if it's ethical, Smith asked if you're asking that because you have stuff in your relationship that you want to ask about or talk about, and then you also said after he asked that that you guys are really private. Do you feel like there's things in your relationship that you wish you could talk to more people about, but like, but you want to be respectful to the agreement that you guys have about being private?
Not the internet. So
Sure. I'm just saying in general.
No, we don't. We're incredibly compatible at this point in our relationship, so we problem solve really, really well. We also don't have the only thing we like go over is like what hot sauce should we put in the beef jerky? That's like the greatest debate of our relationship right now. So we're pretty much always on the same page. We obviously have our parents who have both been married for over 30 years each, and we have like close family and friends that we trust if we have any problems, and we also believe in therapy. So we have our plan Bs and Cs and Ds if we need them.
Sure.
I'm pretty open about myself, like me and my relationship to my relationship. It's just like we as a unit, like he is himself. But no, I mean, when I say like just data wise, we are like 99% compatible. I mean, I've waited my whole life to meet a person this compatible with me because it's the easiest thing I've ever done. I've lived with people, I've dated people, I've been proposed to before, and I've never found a human that I've wanted to say not only yes to, but it was easy and healthy, and we do not fight, we do not bicker, we do not disagree. We only simply problem solve, and the problem solving is like, when are we going to take the cat to the vet? This is very important, which by the way is not as easy as it sounds, guys. Okay, when you're both neurodivergent and the last thing I want to do is leave my house to go to the doctor. You know how long I've had to go to the doctor? Like, I do not want to go.
I can't
So,
empathize. My wife's a vet tech. If the pets need to go, except for
yeah.
with my dog, she had 2 fatty masses, and I was like, we need to speed this up. I'm worried about her. Like she's
makes
not
sense.
like, and then after we got him out, this just really, she's so happy. I have
Yeah,
a child
yeah.
and I have a dog, and people have mistakenly thinking that I love my dog more than my child.
Oh, I get it though. I think my
I
cat has a
want.
consciousness. I love her.
I wanted to ask you, do you believe in unconditional love?
Yes.
I don't for humans. I do for animals.
I experience my inner circle is the people I unconditionally love. And I love everything, every rock, tree, and creature, right? But like I unconditionally love my inner circle. So it doesn't matter what they do, it doesn't matter how horrific of a person they become. I'll visit you in prison. But like I unconditionally love my inner circle. They're very important to me.
I can't
And
understand
then
that. Like I
yeah,
think if
yeah.
like there's people that I love. So I always think of this like if I say I love somebody, like if I use the phrase like I love you with all my heart, it just means like I'm experiencing love the maximum that I know that I can. Now it can change, it can turn into something that's more important, less important, but it's my maximum amount of love. However, people can change things. Like if somebody tries to kill me or if somebody beats the shit out of my wife, I'm going to think of them differently and I'm not going to have a maximum amount of love for them. My love will change in a way that is significantly less. I'll be putting less energy towards it. I'll feel less, probably going to be less empathetic towards them. I'm going to have to put barriers in place. However, if my dog bites somebody, my first thought will be, what did you do to my dog? I know my dog. I've had her for 8 years. There's nothing that my dog can do that will ever change the way that I feel about her. When my dog dies, I'm not doing anything for at least 2 weeks. My job will have to deal with whatever I have going on is going to be done. So I think that because I don't put agency on her, as much as a human is going to human, it is much stronger to say that a doggy's going to doggy.
For sure. For sure.
Because
No, I feel okay.
They don't even decide.
Yeah.
When you walk through the door and you see your dog, like my dog will hop when she sees me. She had no control over that hop. She was feeling that
interesting.
excitement. She just,
I think-
whoa!
See, I think my cat has a consciousness. I think she understands me. I think animals and plants, from all the scientific data, shows they have a consciousness, and I actually think they do know what they're doing. But I don't think everyone knows what they're doing on a spectrum. That's what my levels are.
I think they have
My
zero
levels
self-control. They have an awareness and no
Oh.
self. Dogs in particular.
Oh,
You can train
interesting.
them,
Okay, I can see
but
that.
the training isn't them having self-control. They're just like blindly adherent to the training because you programmed their
Interesting.
brain. Yeah, and like I obviously think the animals are conscious. I'm vegan as fuck.
Sure. Okay. By the way, the way you described people in general is how I think of everyone outside of my inner circle. So if you're outside of my inner circle, I love you, but like how committed I am to you, how loyal I am to you, how much I give you changes based off of our relationship and like the agreement we have. So like I always say I know people from moments of time because life is all these moments. So like one time I had a friend over and I was like, how long do you think we'll be friends? And they're like, what? And I was like, how long do you think we'll be friends? It has to end eventually. They're like, why? And I was like, well, because life will happen. You think we're going to be friends at 90? And they're like, we could be. I was like, we're neither each other's inner circle. Like realistically, like life will happen. What? Because if there's like an apocalypse and we lose all communication, I'm going to look for my inner circle. I can't look
Sure.
for every single person I've ever connected with. Like, I can't do that. That's irrational. But I choose inner circle based off unconditional love. If I unconditionally love them, like my brother, one of my brothers, I have 8 of them. One of them could murder the whole family, and my love for them wouldn't change. Like, I would love
I
them
can't have
deeply, and I
that.
would visit them. And yeah, but I feel you, because that's how I feel with everyone else but my inner circle. I know I have experienced unconditional love because I've seen my parents give it to me. I've seen my siblings give it to me, and I've seen us give it to each other. And it's like the most profound thing I've ever experienced in my life personally. I just think it is like, even with my partner, when I met my partner, I'm not fucking with you. A couple weeks into talking, I was like, hey, I think you're the next person to enter my unconditional love, like inner circle. And I haven't had that since 2016. I think you're my next person. So you're either the love of my life or you're my next inner circle person. And he ended up being both. And it was amazing. But I even remember when I met my last bestie who got into my inner circle, when I met him, I was like, whoa, something just like profound happened with this friendship. And it's true. Like, he's one of my best friends. Like, I love this man. He's unconditionally, right? Regardless. Same with all my other inner circle. So for me, I feel like I know it when I meet it. And I think that that's what I'm always looking for. And then everyone else I just love as the human they are. I love knowing you for us. Like us. How long do you think we'll know each other?
I have no idea.
Who knows?
Yeah.
How exciting.
I
Who
think-
knows?
I think that yeah, I certainly know when I find like my people. And sometimes it's easy to mistake that for love. I met this
For sure.
woman. She's still one of my best friends to this day, and we both thought that we were in love with each other for like a minute.
Yeah.
And I mistakenly told one of my friends about it, and I didn't know that his best friend was dating her. I had zero idea. But like, we were both super high strung people, and we would be like, we can both talk at the same time, this close to each other's face, and have 2 separate conversations with each other at the same time. That's special.
Yeah.
When you can ADHD rant and let the other person talk to you and it flows, that's very, very, very special.
Oh yeah. When I meet people and I'm like, oh, we're people. Like, oh yeah, we're like peopling right now. Yeah, it's a vibe. It's nice to vibe with people. And there's a level. I think it's all a spectrum. Like, I think everything is a spectrum though. Like, everything is a relationship with that thing. But I think that's what makes dating so hard. And I don't moralize or just like, if people want to like have again, I like to predict probability based off of like using data. So when I say like you're more likely to break up, it's not personal. It's just like the data shows like you're not exceptional. You are data. And the question is, are you the exceptional part of the data or the data? And that's all good. In some ways, I'm like so stereotypical. I could be put in a box perfectly. I know what category I'm in. It's really nice. And then in other ways, I deviate completely because like I do what I want. And that's like very specific. And I think that's what is so powerful about being an adult is like you can either do whatever you want or you cannot. And there's everything in between.
I can't
You know?
stand being around people that are only existing to follow other people's rules.
A lot of people are like that though, as long as they're happy. But I just,
It hurts me because I don't know how to not try to encourage them to be themselves more. One of my best friends was like that. I was roommates with him, and before, like, there was a big gap in me seeing him, and he used to have long hair and just like be like a super like huggy kind of person stuff. And then he cut his hair and he started going to school for something that he didn't care about. And when he got his
That's hard.
college loans, and I was like, dude, just get that laptop. Like, you keep looking at, like, you got the extra money, like, do something for your fucking self. I swear to God. And I did everything I could to try to break him out of it. Like, we went to the grocery store and I was listening to music. I just started singing out loud to show him that it's okay to like not care about what every single person, these people that you're never going to see again for the rest of your life, they really don't matter. Like, just shake them out of it. I can't deal with people that are, they're not being themselves to themselves. It freaks me out.
Yeah.
It scares me, and I don't know how to not try to help them. And it's a lot on me.
That sounds like a lot. I mean, I definitely, I mean, that's what I would argue that's what my focus is on my channel is like, hey, when you're ready to like do your own thing, let me know. But also I can help you in your bubbles as well. If you're like, hey, I want to be a better, like, I don't know, Muslim, like, cool, I'll research Islam and we'll try to get you to be like more in tune with the bubble. Or maybe you want to do something different. Like, you seem like a person who definitely like tries to form his own bubble and like do his own thing and like have his own vibe within the bubbles. Obviously, we all live in bubbles. So that's kind of a vibe. That's like another categorization of like, are you a bubble maker or a bubble chooser? It's like, well, it's going to be dependent on how much of your life is dictated internally. You seem internally motivated. Is that true? Maybe?
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were just yeah.
Yeah.
I won't.
You are.
I literally can't. I can't do things that other people want me to do if I don't feel like it's what I should be doing.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I'll be polite about it, but no.
Yeah. I follow, like I say, I'm like, I'll follow the rules when necessary, but otherwise, like, I want to do what I want to be an adult. This is what I worked for my whole life, is to have like, I want to do what I want. You know what I mean? Now, question: do we have any callers waiting?
I'm gonna check. I checked a minute ago. Oh my gosh, you guys. Nope. And if you're good, we can wrap whenever you want.
Can I ask one question from my Discord and then we can wrap?
Absolutely.
Okay, they said, starting a relationship between two people, when the relationship ends and the person will probably wait. Hold on. I think they have a typo in here. Hold on. Oh. So when you have a relationship with someone, once it ends, okay, and someone will probably suffer more than the other, how do you trust the other person to make the right decisions for themselves? So it sounds like they're asking, when you date someone and then you break up with them and you know they're going to be hurt by it, how do you trust them to make the right decisions after? Because there's might be that worry that like, oh, I'm going to break their heart and they're going to suffer because of it. And like, do you owe that person anything in a breakup?
You can't trust that they will. When you're breaking it up, what you're saying is that the problems that when you've broken up with somebody, I mean, some people can manage to still be friends. It's rare. But the part of breaking up means is that their problems are no longer on your plate. If you're taking them and putting them on your plate, you're going to be moving a lot of other things off of it. And I just think that at least for a little bit, you need to put some space there so that they can deal with their problems without you, because that's what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life. They're going to be dealing with their problems without you. And while it can be very difficult, it can be very taxing on you, you're going to want to reach out and try to help them, especially if you're the one that does the breaking up. Because I'm one of those people that I've broken up with people more than I've been broken up with, and I hate knowing that they're hurt, and it's not my job to do anything about it. But you're hurting them by doing that, because the next time something happens and you're going to be busy doing other things because they're not a part of your life, there's still going to be a part of them that feels that pull to go to you. So you're going to have to deal with rejecting helping them with their problems sooner or later, and it's better to do it in the beginning.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Actually agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I do think it's pretty rare for exes to stay friends, though I know it happens. I'm not one of those people personally, but I appreciate that energy from people. And when I say friends, I mean good friends, not people you are nice to on occasion, right? Like that's not that difficult. But I would say that you have to have the boundaries to know how to move on. But also, I think that's why rejection is so important, because rejection is about consent. And even though pain will always exist, ultimately, you should be grateful that somebody is asking you to like respect their consent. And it is painful to break up, no matter at the stage. It's just painful to tell people I don't want to be with you, because people also internalize it as like, what's wrong with me? Yeah. Well, maybe it's about me, though. Maybe it's about me. Because if you were the love of my life, or whatever you want to call it, if you were my person, we wouldn't be breaking up. I'm saying I'm looking for someone, a specific consciousness, like a specific person, and it's just not you. But I don't believe people can become your person. I don't think people can turn into a person that's good for you. I think people either are or they're not. And not to be so black and white about it, unless you're settling, then I think you can build a relationship like a business and it's fine.
There's two things. One of them is we did get one more caller. It's up to you if you want to take it or not. There's no pressure on that.
I have the spoons.
Okay. And before I pull them in, I just, it's something that came up when we talked to Seattle, but I didn't really find a good way to be able to put that into there. I have a view of relationships. So like I've noticed that my wife and I differ with this a lot. Is that when I've had a relationship end, I never think that was a bad thing that I did. Even if it ends poorly, I still appreciate all that I got from it. That like there was a reason why I was in it for as long as I was. Hopefully I didn't put off like, leaving it. But even if so, up until that point, I was happy. I got to have a lot of experiences that I really enjoyed. And I'm
sure.
still going to have that. I still have all those memories. I'm still glad that I did it. But I think a lot of people think that they wasted their time. And I think
I
this
agree with
is,
you.
I think that's harmful for you to think about relationships in that way. It's like
Yeah.
if I don't end my life with this person, then I'm wasting my time with them. That's crazy. Everybody is going to break up until you stay with somebody forever.
I would say I agree with you in the sense that like I don't regret any of my relationships. I don't regret things. They were just I genuinely was in them. I was in love. I was experiencing connection, and they were all playing a part in my life. They were all part of my story, you know? So I'm grateful for them like cuz they brought me here. Like good. This is where my life ended up. It ended up great. You know, who am I to complain?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the other part of it too. I always think like all the things that I might have otherwise regretted led me to where I'm at, and if I'm happy where I'm at, how could I
Oof.
possibly have a regret? That doesn't make
Amen.
any sense.
Amen.
Okay, cool. It's interesting that you're on the same page there. Most people I think are in the other camp. So
Yeah, I think so too. I don't believe in wasted time. I say it a lot on my channel. Like I don't believe in bad trips. They're all good trips. I don't believe in bad books. They're all good books. Like everything is meant to be a learning opportunity.
interesting. I don't think I believe in meant to like about anything ever,
Well,
but
you
I
know
agree
it.
with the
Not like
sentiment.
woo
I
woo,
agree with
but
the
you know what I mean.
sentiment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna pull in the last caller, but if anybody sees this and they're like, "Oh, I wish I would have called," I will be having another one in the near future. I got to get my next few guests in line. I think right now I only have one other person signed up to be a guest host, but you can call in on any of those as well. All right. Hello, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Brittany if she would consider unblocking Jistic so you guys can have a conversation since he feels so free of by blocking him and then like talking shit about him.
You don't have
No,
to
I don't
answer any
consent.
questions like that.
I don't consent. If I've blocked you, it's for a reason.
Okay. Well, thank you for the call. I moved them out of the call. Yeah, I want to say I really appreciated you doing this. I couldn't, like I told you when I messaged you, you're literally the ideal first guest for this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I
You're
was honored.
welcome.
Honestly, I told my husband, I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I can't tell if he made a mistake. Like, did he DM the wrong person? And then I felt like really honored. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. I love this conversation. I think interpersonal relationships are so difficult, but it's so nice to like hear people's perspectives and like see what people are doing with their lives and see if we can give them tools. Cause I'm looking for tools too. Like I definitely came away, even talking to Tuna and stuff. I was like, okay, I'm learning something new about how people work and I'm going to take that and use it. Like, I think that's really great.
Oh, actually, I have one quick thing. I wrote it down when you were talking to Seattle. I think that so many people get their ideas about how relationships ought to be from the media. You said something to the effect of like media relationships, and it drives me crazy. Like when somebody first starts dating somebody, like what should I do to impress my girlfriend? I was like, whatever they do in the movies, that's what you do, because that's what they fucking want. That's they grow up and they see that and like that's what they want. That's what they think that they want at least. And if you do that, they want the romantic gesture, all that. This doesn't work for long-term relationships in the beginning. You can't go wrong with doing the stuff that they do in the movies because that's like the embedded into your brain like romantic dream. For most people at least. I think that some people would think that's awful and corny and stuff. But I'd say like if you're taking a wide shot, you're probably gonna hit with that, which is
I
unfortunate.
think everything is cultural, right? Like everything is cultural. So like my community is so like my brand is literally like when you're not those people, where do you go for advice? Me. Because like we're not those people. If you do what they do in the movies, it's gonna be weird and confusing, right?
I feel like you're trying to manipulate me.
Yeah, like on the first date of courting, because I was interested in marriage, like we went over finances and medical bills and like where we were with our lives and like what were our goals. It was an 8-hour first date.
Nice.
Like we don't like when again, so it depends on what stage you're dating. Are you dating in your 20s, 19-year old, or are you dating in your 30s and you're ready to like get married, you know? So I would say that does generally work for a lot of people. I think people do want the flowers and they do want the kiss at the end of the night, or they do want certain things. They want the gestures. Unless you're dating a not common person, and then you have to know the cultural bubble you're in, right? What is the appropriate thing to do? But yeah, it's interesting where we get our understanding of how to date. And I think just if you're feeling down on yourself and you're watching these things and you're like, I don't identify with this, there is a community for you. There are 8 billion people on the planet, right? Ish. There's all these humans doing all these things. There's so many different cultures, belief systems, countries. I mean, who knew my husband was an American? Not me, but here we are. Like, not me, but like, here we are, you know? So you
That's
never
fair.
know, yeah, where your life is going to lead you. Thank you for having me on. My audience loved it. We had so much fun.
Yeah, I did too. Maybe down the line, I know I have to get like a bunch of people on here, but I wouldn't mind having you on again in the future.
For sure.
And also someday I'd really like to talk to you about your system because I have like a million
Great.
questions, and
Great.
your system and all that stuff is there's too many memes for me to sift through to actually know what's up.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, I really recommend the video I have on it, which is in the description of all my videos. It's a 2-hour video, but it is like my tool to the world. It's the greatest thing that ever like helped me understand myself. So if it helps you guys, good. And if it doesn't, throw it away.
All right, I'll probably watch that on stream, and then I'll reach out and go, hey,
cool.
I got questions.
I'm ready to answer them. I would love that.
Well, thank you very much, Brittany. I appreciate you.
Thank you. All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.
So before I go, I wanted to. Oh wait, let me get that window down. Oh, okay, cool. I closed that and it went away. Neat. So before I go, from this, I wanted to address. There's So the dating show's over. Just to put that out there. That part's done. I want to talk about something else. Mantis, you appreciate the stream and my insight. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ultimately, the goal with this is to give people like good advice that's helpful to them, and the people that, oh shit, that sucks. I appreciate it. If you want to type out what your super chat was, I'll still read it. The goal is to help people, whether they're calling in or people that are just watching that can absorb the advice into some way that makes sense for whatever they're dealing with. Because if there's one thing I know about relationships is that trouble happens and we don't always have the answers right away. But now the relationship show is over. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the second cartoon that Mr. Girl put out about physics, because I'm a physics nerd and he still hasn't talked to me, and I'm kind of pulling my hair out on this one. This idea that light moves infinitely fast because it moves at the speed of causality is stressful to me. It reminds me of when the guy with long hair that I talked about, him and I were like physics buddies, and we talked about physics a lot. And one day he got it in his head that sound might move as fast as light, but we just don't have the tools to detect it. Oh, thank you, Mantis. I appreciate that a lot. You're fantastic. And thank you back, and thank everybody who is here. Hopefully you liked the stream. And if not just liked it, hopefully you subscribe to the channel. I know I think we got 2 new subs from this. This is very cool. So this is the speed of causality that is a pretty weird way to put it. How do I want to say this? It is it's the speed of so like there is you can say this, but it doesn't do anything. Saying that doesn't do anything, okay? And it doesn't mean it moves infinitely fast. Infinitely fast would obviously be faster than the speed of light. There's a really easy way to exemplify this. If you have a light emitter and there is a detector here that's 200 feet away, and then there's one that's 2 miles away, and you have somebody standing on the opposite side, if the light shoots out, and there's a green light that goes off up here once that light hits it. So we're not dealing with clocks, we're dealing with just an observer. we're dealing with two observers. Both observers are going to see that first green light go off before that second green light goes off, which means light does move at a fixed speed. So you have the light come out, it's going to hit both of them. It's going to hit this one first, and then this light is. So basically, the distance is double. Light is going to travel there, and then this light is going to travel back in both directions. So it's going to go here 200 feet, 200 feet here, and then however far there. But even though this person is going to be equal distance from both from the 2-mile one is the first observer who is on the light detector, they're both going to see this first one go off before the second one because light is moving at a fixed speed. If it moved at infinite speed, which saying that it's the speed of causality doesn't really change anything. It's just this rate at which you can, it's the maximum speed at which anything can happen. So they're both going to see this green light turn on first, and then they're both going to see this light turn on first. If light moved infinitely fast, they would both turn on at the exact same time. The distance between them would not matter. Because this turns on and then this one turns on, there is a discrepancy in that light is moving at a fixed speed, not infinite, not he does say that light is the speed is just a measurement of distance traveled over a set period of time. There's also some weird stuff where he seems to sometimes acknowledge space-time and then sometimes separate space and time in different parts of things. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I got to talk to him about it. Hopefully it happens sooner than later. Still just waiting on him. Last time he streamed about it, I said something about it, and he said that I said I was going to have a stroke if it didn't happen soon. He said, we don't want that. So, and then to wait for his cartoon to come out. So he's had 2 of them. Fingers crossed it'll happen soon, because I really am going crazy not being able to ask direct questions and have direct answers. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I know I said I was going to stream more throughout this week. I just had a lot of stuff happen, and it's just been awful. I finally got real sleep last night. So hopefully I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'm not super exhausted anymore. Hopefully my vehicle will start so I can go take my wife some clothes. If not, it's just going to have to dry out more. I might have to take them to her tomorrow. But that's all I had for today. Future guests for the show does include Mr. Girl. I have to sift through the people that I can have as guests, because they have to at least, if they're not in a relationship, they have to at least have some kind of known history of being in a relationship. So just working on finding the people for it. But yeah, that's a wrap on this one. I'm still sort of batting around ideas for the title of the stream. Extra special thanks to everybody who called in. I wasn't sure if I was going to have that many callers, so this is the first one, but it went really well. And I'm really grateful for that. Hope I sleep well again tonight. Thank you. It's just been stress. It's just been hard to sleep from that, but things are getting a little bit better in increments, so I was able to. Yeah, hopefully be streaming tomorrow. I want to get back to the normal stuff. I really want to play Resident Evil 4, so I want to do another research with Resident Evil 4, aka the Umbrella Academy streams soon too. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys. Have a good